Hello and welcome to another See You Next Thursday, but this time we're actually on a Thursday for a change. So, happy Star Wars Day to those who celebrate it. May the 4th be with you, which obviously is our Ed Seven's birthday, so happy birthday to him. I know he's not fucking listening, but still. Yeah, so at the moment it's just myself and Ed 765, but yeah, because Ed 25 hasn't joined us yet, but we're fingers crossed he'll be joining us before we finish. So, how are you, Seamus?
I'm alright. Greetings, everybody. I'm pretty sure Tuchel has brought Billy in for an extra class.
Probably, yeah, he's probably helping him, which explains why he's doing so shit, really, isn't it? So, but of course,
That is why he won't be that free anytime soon, right?
yeah, he's obviously working as an assistant to Tuchel at Bayern. Cause,
No, I think it's the other way around.
oh, yeah.
Tuchel is working as his assistant.
Or Bayern is working as Billy's assistant. Uh, he'd probably have the whole. He'd have if it was him. He'd have the whole club laying patio. That's the thing.
No, I heard in good authorities that Tuchel is assisting Billy, but not in terms of coaching, this for him to travel around and all because of his old days and shitty knees, he can't get by without help.
That's very true, and that's just a known. He can't get by without help. That's probably what the problem is. Actually, his carers probably kept him in at I don't know, not being not around to take him to the computer, so he can't do anything. Anyway, should we get on? Anyway, should we start?
Well, speaking about old men,
Well, I was thinking actually starting somewhere else for a change. I thought we'd start outside of England and talk about
okay.
talk about your hero, Lionel,
Again, I think it still counts in
Lionel
terms of an
Messi.
active professional footballer.
He is
I
quite
think he
old,
should
yeah.
count as an old man.
He is fairly old for the footballer, yeah. That to be fair. But yeah, so do you want to fill people in on what's been going on with your mate Messi?
Well, Messi has become the first player to get suspended under this Qatari ownership, I guess, or at least in the past decade and a bit. First time they've gone out and suspended any player, and it's the biggest, well, at least one of the two biggest names in modern football, Lionel Messi.
And that takes some
Because
doing when you've got Neymar in your squad.
yeah, but that also raises a bit more questions,
Which is,
like how much of this suspension is because they don't agree with what happened, and how much of this is just their way of saying, "F you if you don't want to sign a new contract, we don't want you here anyways."
hmm.
Would, would they have suspended him if he had signed on for another year? Is that's what I'm trying to say.
Or was it because they don't get on that well with Saudi Arabia?
Oh yeah, that also could be true. So, anyways, what happened is PSG players were told if they avoided defeat against Lorient uh, at the weekend, then they'd have Monday and Tuesday off. They went on to lose that match, so no days off for them. They had training on Monday, but Messi apparently already had his prior commitments with Saudi Arabia, who he works as an ambassador,
For tourism.
and yeah, for tourism. It's tourism, not tourism, for anyone confused. There is an O as well. Sorry, there is a U as well. You
Tourism.
get it? Yeah.
God's sake, I'm getting taught English by a foreigner. That's such an old. My English is so bad.
No, you've
uh,
seen that clip, right? You see now I think it's out in the open for the whole world to see that Scousers can't speak English. Jamie Carragher has become the like flag bearer for you guys. Internazionale.
Yeah, the poor lad couldn't understand the word he was saying, could he? That was funny.
He couldn't even understand Milan.
I know. I was.
Inter Milan. So anyways, back to Messi. That's not important to the story. Rafa Leao. Well,
It's
so
pretty bloody
apparently,
important if you ask me.
which one?
The not understanding the accent, because like I have it everywhere I go. So, but anyway, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry,
but
get back to
but my
Messi.
my thing is like he could understand other guys, and for me, maybe it's because I'm already acquainted with you and Billy and your thick Scouse accents.
Uh,
I don't notice too much difference, but
well, Jamie's from the next street from me, so
no, but even with Jamie, but I
it's
think
not
it's
difficult.
not that yeah, it's not that difficult.
Yeah, it just sounds like everyone in my family to me. But yeah, I don't get it. But I have the same trouble everywhere I go. I mean, I'm ordering, I'm pointing at what I want as well at the same time as saying it, and the people behind the thing is just looking at me blank. Tried to get a milk tea the other day, and the girl behind the counter just went, "Oh." It's like, luckily there was her friend who was stood next to it and could translate. But like, you just have to get lucky and find someone who can actually understand. But anyway, yeah, sorry. Go back to Messi. So so he was basically he just decided he wasn't going to cancel the bookings anyway to travel to Saudi Arabia and just went anyway. Fuck it.
Well, apparently it was too late for him to cancel because he had cancelled that once or twice before as well.
I'm sure it's not too late for him to cancel when you consider he's a professional footballer and there's always a chance he might need to be somewhere else for football. You know what I mean? Training or all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, but I don't think he needed to cancel it. He could have just like
Postponed it, yeah.
gone, yeah, not even postponed, just gone to the board managers, talked with him like, yeah, this is the deal. I've cancelled it a few times before as well. It's not too big. Just okay. I can maybe give me a week off or like 2 days off or whatever. He's Messi. He can surely command that much, right?
Well, you'd think so. Clear, you get the impression that basically the relationship between the club and a few of the players there, Neymar, Messi, and the whole group. There's a whole group of them that seem to have taken their side. Have fallen out with the manager and the what is it, director of football or technical director or sporting director, whatever he is, Campos.
He's an advisor.
Is he an advisor? Is that what he's classed as? I couldn't remember. Yeah. Anyway, they all seem to have fallen out.
I think he has I think he has other jobs somewhere related to football, so he cannot be
Right.
a director of football or something directly without leaving his another post. So they're just getting around things.
Yes, very Qatari. Yeah. So yeah. For me, I'd just say this fallout just clearly coming, really getting serious now because normally they just let play. I mean, Neymar's, how often's he buggered off back to Brazil for the holiday? And he's go, without permission as well. It's not like it hasn't happened. So, and they let him go, and they don't fine him. But yeah, it just seems like this is a complete breakdown, and I think we're going to see a lot more problems there until him, Neymar, etc. are all gone. Which probably be the end of the season if they can. Obviously, they've been trying to get rid of Neymar for years, so.
Like I always say, they're just stuck with Neymar.
Yeah, but with Man United around, there's always a chance they could get rid of him, isn't there?
Oh, but with Glazers around, we don't have that much
You
to
hope.
spend.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
I actually do hope.
Jim
I
Ratcliffe
hope we don't get him.
Jim Ratcliffe will put the Manchester back in Manchester United by buying Neymar. Because he seems to know about that much about Manchester. He probably thinks Neymar is from Manchester because he's fucking clueless.
Yeah, obviously.
And if he wasn't, he wouldn't be suggesting keeping the Glazers on board, would he?
Yeah, that just shows how much in touch he's with the whole Manchester United supporters.
Exactly. But then he's a Chelsea season ticket holder, so what do you say? He's hardly likely to be up to date with what's going on in Manchester, is he?
Yeah, but about that, would you like, as a Liverpool supporter, firstly, would you be willing to be a season ticket holder for any other club
No,
in
especially
England?
no, not if I'm.
Secondly,
But I'm a multi-billionaire.
secondly,
No.
and even if you're not, secondly, would you want it to be a team that competes with
Definitely
the
not.
team you apparently support for all the trophies? It's not like, let's say, if he had a season ticket for Fulham or Brentford or Millwall or
Lower
whatever.
league team.
Cl-
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know a lot of people who do. Like my cousin, he's an Everton fan, from because he's a bit sad. But yeah, he's an Everton fan. Like he's on the wrong side of the tracks and that, and poor bloke. Like he doesn't have much luck in life. But I mean, when he was living it, he grew up in Newport, and he was following. He'd follow Newport everywhere, non-league side, so it didn't matter then. Then when he moved to, when he started working, like got old enough and got a job, he's working as a teacher in London now, and he follows Charlton because they're not going to play against Everton. It's because it's local, so he can get to the matches rather than where he can't get to Everton games, so he just goes to watch the local team. But he wouldn't picked, he picked what he could have easily gone to a Premier League side, but it's against Everton. We'd be watching them play against Everton, so no, you just can't, can you? Or you can if you really genuinely support a team, anyway. Which I don't believe Ratcliffe does. I think it's just all talk with him. The only
yeah.
thing,
Like if Chelsea is near around you, let's say it's just a convenience thing with Chelsea, right? Okay, he loves London and whatever. If Chelsea is convenient for you, think Fulham should be convenient for you as well.
yeah, very. And it's nicer ground, as in terms of people, like support. There's there's no reason why you wouldn't just go to Fulham. And you know what? You're a billionaire anyway. You can go wherever you fucking want. You don't even live in London. You live in frigging Monaco because they after Brexit, which you supported and helped to bring through, you then buggered off as soon as it came through. You buggered off to Monaco to live. So, guy's just a tosser. Can't stand him, to be honest. But there you go. Sorry. Copy paste all there. It's just people like him just annoy me. They come out with shite and they rather than like it's clearly lies. So why say it? You don't need to in his position. I don't understand why he needs to lie about it. What difference does it make who he supports? Yeah, why not just say you're following Chelsea, you got a season ticket, you must be a fan. Otherwise, why would you have a season ticket there? Even if they're your second team, you still, But like, you've got this money, you can go wherever the hell you want every weekend. There's nothing to stop him. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about Chelsea while we're about it, actually. Well, we've got on the subject of Jim Ratcliffe. Should we talk about what's going on at Chelsea? Obviously, Frank Lampard's doing really well there. 7 games, 7 defeats. But they
100% record.
yeah, but they
100%.
finally scored a goal. So maybe things are getting back on track there, eh? What do you think?
I was reading one of the posts saying like they won the second half.
Wow. Wow, that's it then. That's it. Chelsea are back then. Frank
Yeah,
Lampard.
half the job done, and anyways, they've
Yeah.
already won one half, just need to win another, or at least avoid defeat in another half.
Yeah, if they can do that in one match, easy. It's all sorted, isn't it? Lampard's going to have them back at the top challenging by the end of next season, no problem. Do you think there is any quick fix for their tour?
I think, like I've suggested him before, I think the best solution for what they need right now is possibly Carlo Ancelotti, a short term fix,
Hmm?
because he's gonna get the fans on board.
Yeah.
He's gonna get the players to feel a lot more comfortable. That is one thing you cannot deny with Ancelotti. He, at least to begin with, creates a very harmonious dressing room.
Yeah.
Players love him to begin with, at least, and especially with the Chelsea players. Surely they're not the type that strike as the Bayern players who would, when unhappy with his training, just arrange a different training session, meet up somewhere else to
Yeah.
stay fit. Chelsea don't. The whole club doesn't strike as being that kind of professional.
No, not at all. Not at all. There's no. They're not asked about that. They'll just
I don't-
carry on, won't they?
I think I think in a way Chelsea are a bit like Real Madrid, and Ancelotti has
Mm.
proven to be a very good manager for Real Madrid. So I think at least for the here and now he would be a very good solution. And
Yeah.
I also think like your shout for Jose Mourinho isn't too bad either.
Yeah, I think those two are
I
the
think
only standouts.
I think what Chelsea need is a manager that is gonna get the backing of the whole support base, the whole fan base. You don't want to start with someone who's gonna have at least like a significant a quarter or a half of the supporters already disgruntled at the appointment.
Yeah, you only have to look at what happened with
Potter,
Potter,
what happened with
Rafa
Benitez at
Benitez.
Everton?
Yeah, no, Rafa Benitez at Chelsea alone.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, Benitez and Chelsea as well.
yeah, there's absolute shambles, yeah, and you can't turn it around. It's impossible when the fan base is against you. To start with, it's just impossible. It doesn't matter how well you do. They're always just waiting for you to slip up.
That's the thing. I think they need someone who's gonna get the time, who's gonna get the chance to lose 3 games, 4 games, 5 games, and not have everybody call for their head.
Yeah, yeah. You need someone that the fans will be there and cheer on and stand behind from the moment he joins, because it needs to be from the moment he joins, because they need to start. It needs to be a quick
Yeah, and
turn around.
I'm not saying like Chelsea don't have the quality to win games and they're gonna struggle next season. I'm saying even if things don't go away from the get go, they need someone who's gonna get the support from the fans, who's gonna get the time from the fans, and who the owners can, if they actually do want a long term plan, do have a long term vision, who they can say like, hey, this is our guy. The fans are behind him. If the players don't want to be here, you can go.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. They've got a lot of players they need to offload. And they're gonna need to bring in new players again. They need it to be there. They need them to know that when they come in, that the manager's got the backing of the fans, and so if they don't care, they don't perform for him, the fans aren't going to be on the manager's back. They'll be on the players' back if they don't play well. That's what's going wrong for me. Is the fans immediately Potter had a bad run, they were straight on his back, rather than saying, look, these players have been fucking us about for years. They've been doing this time and time again to manager after manager. It's about time we told them how we feel about it, and they need to buck up their ideas and play for this club, rather than thinking they're above it. When they when they feel like it, they can say it out, and when they can't be asked, they just don't bother. We need them to know that that's not good enough, and that's not going to happen when you don't have a manager that the fans are behind.
Yeah, that's the thing. If the let's say if Potter had the whole fan base behind him, supporting him, when things weren't going so well, the owners could have said, "Look, this is our guy.
Mm.
Even if the results aren't showing on the field, The fans are behind him. Look, we're gonna back him. If you don't like the way it is, then we can arrange a move for you in the summer.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
no, because the fans were already, especially the ones that attend the matches, if they're not behind you, it's always gonna be very tough.
Yeah, and they were very much against Potter, most of them, for some reason. I'm not sure why. They didn't feel he was ready, I think. Didn't feel he was a big enough name for them. I'm not sure why they think that. I don't
But
understand.
that's the issue with fan bases. With I think I'm also included. Very hard to support someone who doesn't come with a huge reputation, especially in this day and age with social media and all those things. If you're a big name, you can do a few things wrong and it's gonna be chalked up as someone else's fault. If you're not a big name, then someone else's fault is also seen as your mistake. So that's the way it is. Narratives.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If the fans are behind you, if the fans are behind the manager, the players get the blame, and that's how it. That's what you
I,
need.
I think even I think even with Manchester United, we've seen it this season when it became Ronaldo versus Ten Hag. Ten Hag had the fan base behind him. That is why he got things done in his favor.
Exactly.
If it was Ole versus Ronaldo, it was Rangnick versus Ronaldo.
Hmm.
They had no chance.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
managers had no chance.
But because it's Ten Hag and he's done so well, impressed in his short time. Fine, hang on. I need to change my battery, so you're gonna have to talk in the headset. You're gonna have to talk. I'm sure you can manage it. Maybe you talk about how young you are compared to us, because you seem to think we're old.
No, I don't think you're old. I know you're old. If you look from my point of view, no, if you look from my vision,
No, I'm
you guys
serious.
are like
No,
no one is younger. I'm yet to come up against a single poster who's younger than me. And if you are listening, don't you dare point out that you're younger than me, or I'm gonna delete that post.
I'm definitely younger than you.
I think you've seen more leap years than I've seen my birthday, so
Ooh, not a chance.
oh, definitely,
I don't know. You've had.
definitely.
I know you haven't had a hard life because we've seen where you live. So you've not had a hard life. So you're obviously knocking on, or all you really need to look into a bit of a facelift or something, mate.
So if we're gonna talk about Chelsea, can
Okay.
they sign any more players?
Well, they've got Nkunku to come in the summer.
Yeah,
Um.
they've got two players, Nkunku and Maya Gusto, right?
Oh yeah,
I
my.
guess I guess Gusto is gonna be replacement for Azpilicueta.
Yeah, and they've got a bunch of players to come back from loan, so they
Yeah,
can
but
integrate.
they've already got a big squad. They've got squad. They've got so many players that some of them they couldn't register in their squads for
Is
competitions and all, right?
is Lukaku back in the summer?
Yeah, he will come back
I wasn't
because
sure. Did they have a 2-year loan?
it was a 2 year loan and it finishes this season, wasn't it?
He's only been there one season, hasn't he?
No, basically what I understand is Inter cannot afford Lukaku on
Yeah.
his current contract and he's gonna be back at Chelsea in the summer.
Ooh. Well, that'll be a nice little present for the new manager to sort out, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
God.
but no, but that's the thing. They've got him to come back. I I'm sure they've got at least 10, 15 players out on loan to come back.
Oh, at least. Probably more. Yeah, they've got to get rid of players. Desperately need to get rid of them.
So in all likelihood, we're looking at 40 to 45 first team players, right?
Yeah,
If
must be
if
around that.
everybody comes back from their loan, I know a lot of them would probably again be loaned out or have sales arranged for them pretty swiftly, but still, there
Yeah,
is a chance they're going to have around 40 to 45 first team players on the books in the summer.
yeah, they desperately
Yeah,
need to
like
clear out.
for example, there's Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's not doing too well.
No, you can't get in the
He's
team,
going to
can he?
come back. Yeah, he's going to come back, most likely.
He's not very good though, is he? Let's be honest.
No, but he's under contract. He is going to come back to Chelsea. It's another player that's going to have to sort things out for.
They keep doing this. These players that like clearly aren't good enough. They did it with Victor Moses. They just kept extending his contract for years. You know, to try and make a little bit of money off loaning him out. But they're messing about, they must have done. You know, with keeping an eye on him and sending the loan fella. You know, the what's his name? You know what I mean? The loan coordinator, whatever he's called there, out there to go and
Liaison.
speak liaison or whatever. Yeah, they must, it must have cost them more than than they made. I mean, they can't possibly have been making money off his loans. So it just makes
They
no sense to
probably.
me.
At least you don't pay the salaries.
Yeah, but but you still got them on. You've still got to ask about finding somewhere to get rid of them the following season and that. It just makes no sense to just keep all these players on the books. You're better off just clearing house and getting rid of them. And I know they think they think it's a good business model, but since they've been doing this business model, the longer it's gone on, the worse the team's got. So how is it a good business model when when the idea of the business is to win trophies, and to be challenging for trophies, and they've got gradually further and further away from being a top side. And I know people are going to say, we didn't win the Champions League, yeah, but let's be honest, they weren't the best team in Europe when they won the Champions League. That was like, that's not something that they can expect to do regularly, is it, with that squad? Or do you
Like
disagree?
there were so many players. Did you realize they have Timu Bakayoko still on the books?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. They extend the players' contracts. It's bizarre. Just let them go. If they're not getting near your first team, just get rid of them. If they're not young kids that might that you're looking to develop to get in the first team, there's no point having them around the squad at all. Even if you're putting them out
Okay,
on loan, it makes no good. It makes no sense in a sporting instance to do so. And that's how you should be looking at it. That's why Italian football ends up in such a mess, because they have all these players and they're just loaning them out willy nilly to other Italian clubs, and it's yeah. Personally, I'd like to see the loan system abolished. It leads to too many favours, which is what happens in Italy. It becomes a favour thing.
like
Loan
I
players.
remember I remember reading one of these times like Atalanta had something like 45, 50 players out
Yeah,
on
they had
loan
100 odd at one
of,
point.
of some arrangement. Like, come on, you can't have 40, 45. I will say over the age of 18, you can't have 40 plus players in your team. Be
No,
it either they're loan or registered in your squad. But to have around 50 loanies, and
yeah,
Chelsea had 33 as well
it's
a
nonsense.
season or two ago. Come on, that's just too much.
Yeah, it shouldn't be allowed. It's influencing other leagues as well. It's not just what it does for the team itself. It's what it does for other teams, because you're loaning them to another team. That's influencing the league they're playing in, because obviously they've got
And
a player that they.
especially in Premier League, you can't play against your parent club, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're giving
Okay,
them you're giving yourself an unfair advantage, because the team you're playing will be a man down every time they face you.
yeah, like this season, Manchester United, we loaned out Dean Henderson
Hmm.
to Nottingham Forest. I don't know whether we faced them before he got injured or not, but before January, he was the first choice keeper
Yeah, he got
for the
injured. That's why they brought
18
in
games.
Navas.
No, for the 18 games. But against us, the 19th game, no, he couldn't play.
Yeah, exactly. So
Regardless of form, fitness, suspension, whatever, he just couldn't play against us. So that's not completely fair.
no, it's just it is a form of cheating in my opinion. This loans market. That's why the Italians do it. Literally, it's so they can get favours, which ends up in being, it's just a start. It's corruption.
Yeah, most of the transfers in between Italian clubs is like 1 year loan with obligation or 2 year loan with obligation. They, they don't buy players straight away that many times.
Yeah, and it ends up in a mess. You don't know who's actually registered to who. That makes it very easy to be a bit dodgy with your finances as well.
I remember like Domenico Berardi was a Juventus player sometime in his career, but never actually left Sassuolo ever.
Yeah, yeah. And there's loads like that, and yeah, it's dodgy. Do you remember them when Tony Adams took over at
Granada, yeah, I know Granada.
yeah, and every
They
player.
had about like 8 or 10 first team players, and that's about it.
No,
And
they didn't
every
have
other player
any.
was
They didn't
no
have.
in their whole club, in their
Yeah,
whole
they
like
didn't. They didn't
over
have. No,
18 and whatever.
They didn't have a single over 80. Full first team player actually registered to the club, as in like contracted to Granada itself. When they took over, they found not one player on the books.
Everyone,
Every
not one. I
professional
think it was
footballer,
like
every single professional footballer was either was registered to another club. Most of them, obviously, Udinese or
yeah, with
Watford.
Udinese and Watford. Yeah,
Yeah,
most
most
of
of them,
them.
but not all. There was a few borrowed from elsewhere as well. It's like that just shouldn't be possible to do that. Oh, at least in
That,
England you
that
can
is
only
the
have.
yeah, that is the issue with multi club ownership as well.
Yeah, exactly, because they just shift them. You only have to look at Man City shifting around freebies from, like, I mean, Aaron Moy, for instance, he was never anywhere near going to play for Man City, but they shifted him to Man City on the free so they could sell him later to make money. It's like, how is that fair? I mean, Melbourne City, I think it is, their Australian city, they've missed out on a fee for the sake of Man City getting a fee. When the difference, at Melbourne City, that money would make a bigger difference than it would do at Man City.
Yeah, but who cares about Melbourne City?
Yeah, I know people say that, but like we should care about the smaller clubs because they're the ones that a sport is only as good as its weakest link. The
Yeah, but
league.
even our boy, even our Australian hunk doesn't care about Melbourne City, so
Yeah, that's true. Your mate. Yeah, that's what it is. If we played for Bobby's team, you'd be up in arms about it, wouldn't you?
yeah, but his team is Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't have much affiliation with any of the A-League teams.
No, I think he said he followed. Didn't he say he follows one of their local ones? I can't remember. Maybe that's maybe I'm thinking of American football, whatever that. The
Australian football.
Australian. That's it. I couldn't think of the country then. Yeah, we were talking about their Aussie rules thing, which is just bizarre. I mean, what do they wear in that sport? I mean, they're still wearing. Oh
Well,
God.
that is clearly made for female supporters too.
I'm not sure it's the female supporters. I think it's more the male supporters. Obviously, an inclination, shall we say? I think that's who it appeals to most. Yeah. Anyway, should
So,
we?
anyways, Chelsea. I'm just looking at the squad and goalkeepers could do with
Good. They
a better
desperately
one.
need a keeper. Why didn't they buy one in the summer? He spent all that fucking money and he didn't come out with a keeper or a striker for this season. How do you do that? 600 million and don't fix the two biggest glaring issues in the squad.
Centre back, maybe they can do with the current options, the ones already at the club and the
Yeah, they
ones
got
out.
some good. I mean, that
Loan.
Badia Shili looked good. No idea why he doesn't get in the team now. They need to get rid of Koulibaly. He's an absolute. He's not good.
And maybe like no, but they can do with Fofana, Badeshi, the Koulibaly, Chalobah, they put Colville, Levi
Yeah,
Colville on
yeah,
loan.
exactly.
He's gonna come back. Thiago Silva is still there.
Yeah, even though he's 85, he went to school with Billy. I heard.
Oh, I thought it was with you.
No,
And Billy was the teacher. Billy was the
yeah,
professor.
he's not far off my age, I'd say. Yeah.
And maybe left back, if they keep both Kukurea and Chilwell, they should be fine.
I'm
They
very,
got that kid only.
I'm very surprised Chilwell's still there. To be honest, apart from the fact that he's always injured, he he's got
Yeah, but how
attitude
can you
problems.
say someone who's always injured?
Well,
He was injured in the summer window as well.
that's a fair point. Yeah, I suppose it's a bit difficult to offload someone you can't get through a medical. But they love him. They're the Chelsea fans, though.
No, he can have very good games from time to time when he's fit,
Hmm.
which is rare. But
It's like Reece
I think
James.
on the pitch when he plays, he's been decent to very good most of the time.
Oh yeah,
Ben Chilwell.
he's a decent player. The problem isn't his ability; it's his attitude and the injuries that come because of it. You know, attitude to training. So Reece James, you got to question why he has so many injuries.
Yeah, maybe he needs some changes in his. Maybe it's just I don't want to say like he has lifestyle issues or whatever, but maybe.
But but that's what I mean.
No, I'm
They
not
need
saying
to look
like
down and examine this. You know, they need to sit him down and have a look at exactly what's going on. They should have all the data there on his fitness levels, etc. And there's clearly issues there that, or you wouldn't be picking up these injuries.
And I'm not suggesting like he has attitude issues that he doesn't train well or whatever. I'm saying maybe there are some certain underlying things that could be
But if that's the
creating
case,
this issue.
then the thing you do is you alter his training to suit him, whatever the issues
Yeah,
are.
that is what I'm trying to. Yeah, like very well said. That is what I was trying to suggest. Like, for
Yeah.
example, like Van Persie was injury prone for so many years, and then for the 2 3 years when he had a set training regimen, he was fit to play most of the games. Once Sir Alex retired again, his like training was. I think Moyes changed his training, and then
Mm.
again same thing.
Yeah, Moyes had him
Returned.
training as the rest of the team, rest of the squad. There's a lot of that
Mm.
happens in football, but managers just aren't clever enough to realise that sometimes you can't, you have to treat each of these people as individuals. And I know it's a team game and you need them to play as a team and you need them to work as a team, and there's certain aspects of training you do put that, yeah, they have to do together.
Yeah, but
But
also
some of
ultimately,
it,
like we can say whatever we want to say, but at the end of the day, it's what you do between the final whistle and between the kickoff and final whistle that matters.
hmm, exactly. I mean, there must be some. You've got to. If there, you hear the Chelsea fans claiming he's the best right back in the world, which seems a bit odd considering they haven't seen enough of him to actually know how good he is, and like he can't defend to save his life. But if he's such a good player that he's your only real right back, because the option's Azpilicueta, who's 855 years old and can barely make it across the halfway line these days. You have to keep him fit somehow, don't you? You do
You,
whatever it
you would think.
takes. Either that, or you sign another right back.
Which they've gone out and done that. Maya Gusto.
Yeah, but you sign him for now, not for a year's time. That's what I mean. You know, if you're spending 600 million, you can obviously afford to pay a little bit extra to get him in the team now, can't you? But like, it's odd.
Surely 5 million more
And
would have joined them.
what about their loan army? Surely one of them could have been kept back, and one of them must have been a right back. Sure, I mean they must have. They must have had a right back in that lot that could at least fill in.
At least be a backup, right? And then
If
with
you
the
look,
way the season went, no, with the way season went, that guy would end up being first choice.
I mean, you must have someone who could play there just to cover. If not, then you seriously got to question how bad their squad is. I mean, why not go back to? Why didn't they go to a back three? Do you know what? I don't think they have got. They haven't got a right back on loan, have they? I was just looking through the loan. Who's out on loan? I don't
They
think they've.
probably have someone from their youth setup out on
Yeah.
loan. Maybe 2 or 3 of those guys actually. What's Olys's brother? Where is Olys's brother? Michael Olise, his brother.
I was
He's
just.
the right back, I think.
I'm just having a look at the under 21s and let's see. Uh,
So, anyways, I think a conclusion is their defense doesn't need new players. It's not as much of a pressing need.
yeah. Apart from now they've got Gusto coming in. They should.
No, but they've got Gusto coming in.
Yeah.
James report most likely be fit enough.
Yeah. For how long though?
Next season, I would assume maybe.
Dujon Sterling, that's the one. That's the other right back. Sterling.
Is he out on loan?
Yeah, Henry Lawrence is out on loan as well, another right back. But Sterling's the one they got high hopes for. He's 22 as well. He shouldn't be fucking going out on loan at that age. He's 22 years old and you've not got him in the team. You've not got him around the fringes of the team at least. There's an issue there, isn't there, with the way you're handling youngsters.
He's 23, not even 22, and he'll be 24 in October. I'm sure he's highly rated enough.
Who's that?
Yeah, Dusan Stalin is 23.
Is he? Oh, he must have been
Yeah.
22 when he moved out on loan then.
Yeah, and he'll be 24 by October, like by the end of October. So.
But I mean, you've got a player like that. He's highly rated. The fans seem to think he's the next guy. He's got a chance of being a long-term star for them. Why is he not getting in the team? Or at least on the fringes, at least on the. Shouldn't be loaning players like that, especially when you haven't got a frigging right back that you can rely on. It's mental.
Yeah, they fought hard to keep Asphilip better.
Yeah.
Surely
Exactly.
you could have either keep him as well to learn from Aspilicueta or maybe
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Espion. Like, come on.
That's the only reason I see for keeping Aspilicueta is to allow these kids to learn from him in training, because he's got a good attitude. Other than that, well, you don't need him.
Yeah, but he's the club captain.
You just make a different club captain, don't you? That's the thing. Well, you do if you got any sense. Let's be honest. They've not been run sensibly for a long time. They've been gradually going downhill in the last few years of the Roman ownership. Anyway. So this isn't like it's new. This isn't like it's something happened just because Bowley's moved in. This has been an ongoing problem for a while.
No, Boli has just made things
Oh shit. Yeah, he's just made it even worse, hasn't he?
Yeah, worse.
Yeah, he's
It's
just
just more,
exacerbated the problem rather than created it.
but like he just multiplied those problems so many times.
Oh, 600 million times, I think.
They needed, they need to work on the midfield. That is for sure. Like Chelsea, I'm just going through the team. Like they need to decide on Kante for sure,
Yeah.
and Mason Mount.
There's a lot of issue there to be resolved.
And even if they do like end up keeping Kante, his fitness can't be relied upon.
Exactly, is another one.
Yeah,
There's a lot of clubs that have these players in and around the team, and you just think sometimes just you've got to be ruthless, haven't you? They're being paid far too much to not be able to be to not be available for 90. They should be available for like 90% of the season. If not, you've really got to rethink what you do with them.
yeah, exactly. If you like if the player is gonna only be part of like 20 games for the season, then they should be paid very insignificant salary. They can't be one of
Exactly.
the highest earners and be.
Yeah, if you're being paid like 40,000 a week at a Premier League club, like Chelsea, I mean, not like if you're at Palace, is obviously a different. You've got to look at it differently, like different amounts. But if you're Chelsea, paying someone 40,000 a week, then they're a backup anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, you have to pay backup money for backups, and if you're paying
Yeah,
someone first team money, then they should be first.
yeah. But if they're not available for a lot of the games, then that's fully understandable when they're being paid 40,000. That's why you're paying them 40,000 basically, if they are top class player. But if you're paying them 200,000 a week and they're not available for like Reece James, probably misses getting on for a third of the season every season, and they must do. I haven't actually got the actual numbers, but it feels like he misses. It feels like he misses more. But obviously, your mind tends to exaggerate things like that. So I'm going to say a third of the season. It feels like he missed about half of it, but I'm going to say a third. That's far too much for a player who's first choice. And then Kante, how much? How often does he play these days?
Did he play that many games on the border?
No, he only played a few, didn't he?
No, yeah. That's the thing. Like off the top of your head, you can't even say like. If I say like Kante didn't play under Potter, you would be like, really? Maybe that is the thing because he hardly played.
Yeah, he just wasn't fit, was he? Didn't he have a operation in the summer?
He started the season in the Chelsea team, then got injured like fairly early on, and then hasn't played much.
And it's clearly going to be a worsening problem because of his age. How much as he's one of those players you'd love to have around the club, but obviously it comes down to what kind of salary he's on.
Yeah, but his contract is up in the summer. Either you like we said, you either get him on a much reduced salary, but it's palatable that he's not your like nailed on starter.
Mm. Personally, I think you've just got to say that, like, these players that aren't fit, you're better off just letting them go. And I know they may turn up 5 games a season for the new club, and the fans will go mad because they're great for 5 games a season, but they're going to be injured again soon after that. So what's the issue?
Even if some they go and play well for others, you just gotta say like, well, tough luck for us. And the fans will forget if they like let Kante go, brought someone else in, and they started winning games. Then they'll be like, yeah, it was the right decision. It ultimately comes down to how you perform, how your team plays.
Yeah, at the moment they're so bad. I could understand why, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult decision.
No, but look, even with Liverpool this season, it's like very obvious. Liverpool haven't had that great a season, so there are many people saying, "Oh, we're missing Mane. Oh, we're missing Origi."
Yeah.
But those players have had even worse seasons.
Yeah, I mean, Mane's been awful for Bayern.
And Origi has hardly played, despite the fact that Giroud is the only recognized centre forward,
He's
except
injured. He's been
because
injured.
yeah, because no, but Ibra was injured all season and he hardly got a look in from the get go.
Yeah.
And still some Liverpool supporters are like, oh, we let these guys go. They were huge influences in the dressing room.
I
They
mean,
wouldn't like change the style has happened because they don't exist anymore. Yada yada.
it is true that you'll miss these players, people like Lovren and that. You do miss them from the dressing room, but the idea is you're getting rid of them to bring in players that you should be replacing them with players that provide us provide a boost in the dressing room, like Lovren. When he goes, you bring in somebody who can have that kind of effect around the dressing room. But instead, there's too many players like Van Dijk, Matty. They're nice guys. Don't get me wrong, but they're very laid back. Origi was another one, and I think, much as I love Origi and I hate to see him in another shirt, it really doesn't feel right at all. But it's just how, you've got enough of those kind of guys. What you need is players like the Henderson Milner types, the solid pros who work hard and just get on with it. That's what Liverpool's missing mostly. Had too many laid back, the Wijnaldums and all that. Needed to cut them back a bit. And that's happening at last. Yeah, but it does. I mean, it is a fair point that it can make a difference in the dressing room. But I don't think that was the issue at Liverpool. It's the tactics that changed. Whereas Chelsea, the dressing room's clearly a problem. Isn't it? It's a
And
major problem.
the issue, a big issue for them to handle right now is Mason Mount.
Yes, that's a
They
huge
need
one.
to make a decision either ways.
Your your player of the season, wasn't he? The last 2 seasons running, and you can't agree a new contract with him because he doesn't even want parity with the highest paid players at the club. He wants parity with players like Pulisic. It seems.
Yeah, but that is like I always go back to why Messi's contract with Barcelona was disaster for them.
Yeah.
It's not it's not how much you pay this player or like it doesn't matter if you think a certain player is the best player so he should be paid the best amount. The thing is the second best are the players that are like 10th best are gonna also demand higher salary. Even if they don't
Exactly.
want parity even if they don't want parity with the highest owner, they want something that's a bit more palatable for their ego as well.
Hmm. Yeah, but that's why you have to have a churn at clubs, and you have to get rid of those that aren't performing because they're going to be on a higher salary than they deserve because of you putting the best players on a high salary. Yeah, it does. You have to keep them within manageable levels. You can't be paying 500,000 a week to someone and then you expect the other guys to only earn 20,000 a week. You just can't. You've got to pay them somewhere close to it, at least, somewhere palatably close.
Yeah, for example, nobody going to Spurs is gonna demand 300k because they know the highest earner there, their best player, Harry Kane, is at 200. So that is the ceiling they look at, and then you get to see where you fit in. If you see like 500 is the highest earner, then you're gonna You get that as the ceiling, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know where your ceiling is. If you go in there, you go in there to, you're not going to be earning 300,000. So you set your demands at a lower level, and you accept that you're not going to get 200,000, 300,000 there. So you wouldn't be looking, you wouldn't even consider them if that's your objective in life, is to get that kind of money. You'd be saying no, you wouldn't even listen to their approach, would you? So.
Yeah. So at this moment, it looks like Mount is probably gonna leave.
Mm.
That is how it is.
So would you take him at Man United?
No, I don't think there's space for it.
You don't think there's space for him?
Yeah, because he is a bit like Bruno, and Bruno is gonna be our first. He is the starter in his position, and I think he's too similar a profile to Bruno, so I don't think it's a necessary outlay.
I can see what he's saying, but I would have said he's a useful player because he can cover the midfield
Yeah,
and
but
forward
he's gonna
positions.
cost too much. But he's gonna cost too much to be a first team, like to not be a first team Milan starter.
Well, wouldn't he start? He can play behind Bruno or on one of the wide forward positions as well. So there's a lot of utility in them. I
I don't,
just think for a team
no,
like
if
United
I
that
am
have
going,
shown how weak they are the minute any injuries happen, I would have thought he'd be a useful addition.
no, I think that money can be better spent is all I'm saying. Chelsea are definitely gonna want like somewhere at least
He's only got
around 50 to 60.
He's only got 1 year left on his contract. I'm not convinced they'll get 50 to 60, especially a club that's spent so much money and is going to need to recoup money to get within FFP guidelines, aren't they?
Yeah, I can see him being a bit like I don't know whether yeah I think it can be an upgrade on Marcel Sabitzer. I think if we were to try and get Sabitzer in, it's not gonna cost more than 20 million. If it is gonna cost more than 20 million, then there's no point getting Sabitzer. I don't think Mount is worth going twice or three times 20 like Sabitzer for him because ideally it's Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno that start in midfield.
So you'd have Eriksen ahead of Mount in your team?
I think Eriksen's game is better suited to be alongside Casemiro than Mount. I think to get the best out of Mount would be to play him in a role similar to Bruno. That is my point. I'm not saying Mount is a worse player than Eriksen. I'm just saying like we don't need to spend 50, 60 million on someone who is ideally a number 10 in our system.
Okay. I can understand that.
No, I think we should get someone who's gonna take over from Eriksen. If the question was McAllister or Bruno Guimaraes, Caicedo, even Romeo Lavia, those kinds of players, yeah, I think we should get the 50 million on those sort of players instead.
Yeah, can't see any of them joining Man United this summer though.
With the way things are looking, I can't see anyone would join us right now.
That's true. Yeah,
I don't think if this takeover thing is still up in the air, then how much money will there be for us to spend?
It's certainly taken a while, this one. It's not even got to the point where it's actually started the takeover yet. That's the scary thing. They've literally still haven't decided who's gonna take over yet, if anyone is. It's mental. Oh, will there be another round of bidding next week if they don't like what the options are now?
Well, apparently, if the Qatari bid were to go through, then Kamavinga is the guy Seki Shimons in midfield.
I don't think you can look. I don't think any bid can go in on the. This is what happens only in Barcelona and Real Madrid is where they come in with the presidents get voted in on a promise to sign certain players. But that kind of thing's pie in the sky, and you're an idiot for voting for someone on that basis or picking it because it's not possible to say right. I'll go and buy so and so. It just doesn't work like that. You can arrange a deal, but it can it's there's too many variables involved in football. And at this stage, it's far too early to get a deal sorted anyway.
Now, what if the said player gets a long-term injury,
Exactly.
or even worse, what if the player just refuses to join your club?
Exactly. That's what I mean. There's no way you can they can set up deals like that. Yeah. Just I know these stories in the media are just there to sway
Get the click.
fans behind them and get clicks. That's it. But a lot of them are sometimes they're just somebody's making it up for the sake of click, but also you get some of them propaganda put out by the people involved in the bid to get support, behind them, so that like if the Glazers are looking on and they see the support is behind, say, Jassim, they're more likely to go with him than Ratcliffe because the support's behind him. Is the thinking. I don't think it works for the Glazers because I don't think they give a shit. But anyway, should we move on? Because I don't think there's much. I don't think we've much more.
Oh, we've
We've gone
actually not.
way past what we started on anyway, haven't we?
Yeah, but the thing is, we've actually not touched upon the pressing issue for Chelsea. It's the attack. They've
Yeah,
got too
yeah,
many attackers, but they don't have an attack.
yeah. They don't have anybody who's actually a striker, do they? I mean, and Kunku, I know he's playing there and that, and I've seen him
They don't
saying,
have a goal threat, mate. It's not like they don't have an attack. It's like so, a striker.
mm,
It's like they don't have a goal threat.
yeah, they're not making chances now, are they? I see Lampard's trying to put the blame on other people, saying it predates this spell of his. Yes, to your previous spell. That's when it started, mate. Just in case nobody realised it, it was Lampard's first spell that started this.
Is he the guy that sold Giroud?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but probably because he certainly didn't like him, did he? He didn't want to play him.
I think it was under his time that Giroud
Yeah.
left.
See, that was a mad sale to make. I really like Giroud. I know, even at Arsenal, I was one of the few that seemed to like him. I always thought he was massively underrated, and I know he didn't score enough goals, but what he provided for the rest of the team, I think made up for it. I think he scored enough that made it worthwhile. And when he scored, they tended to be important as well, didn't they? Or felt like they did, anyway.
Oh, Lampard played Tammy Abraham, I think.
Ah, yes, I think it was Tammy Abraham he got rid of. Yeah, I think you're right there.
No, he didn't get rid of Tammy. I think he
No,
played Tammy.
sorry, I meant he liked Tammy Abraham and that's why he got rid of Giroud. I think you're right, that's what I meant. It's Giroud we were talking about.
Okay, whatever, but they need a functioning attack, Chelsea.
Well, I think they need to just sort out. I think get a functioning manager first, and we can go from there. I think is what you've got to do if you're Chelsea.
And
Because
they need, like, come on, like I look at this squad, it's like too many players, just too many players, too many similar players, and too many players either who don't look either ready right now or who look like
but
they passed their best.
even their youth sides are similar. They're very heavily weighted towards like left backs, left sided defenders, and no right, virtually no right backs and stuff like that. It's very weird how their whole setup seems to be very heavily weighted towards certain players and be lacking quality in other players. Just a
And
bit
to
of,
think they spent what, almost 200 million in their attack.
but they've got one of the
If you
best.
combine, if
One
you
of,
combine the summer and the January window, they bought Mudryk, Sterling, Madueke,
he's a good player, man.
Aubameyang, Fofana.
He seems a bit. I'm not sure about him. But what? I
The
mean,
young,
the
the young,
Aubameyang
the
ones.
young striker Fofana,
That
not
Aubameyang
Wesley Fofana.
one is the most bizarre. Yeah, I know. David Defana, is it? David.
Yeah, David Datra Fofana.
Yeah, yeah, because I got two of them just to confuse us. Yeah, that Aubameyang signing. I mean, that says it all about the mess they were. Signing for the manager and then sack the manager. I mean, what the fuck was that all about?
Yeah, that was funny.
I
That
mean,
was funny. Like Aubameyang had hardly finished saying, "Oh, I'm looking forward to reuniting with my pal, my guy Tuchel," and Tuchel was already out the door.
it's a really bizarre thing to do, though. If you're gonna back the manager with a signing, you've surely got to let him at least get him in the team, haven't you? I mean, he never had time. He was still unpacking in his locker, really.
Yeah, obviously, so
Yeah, but he.
obviously they didn't see Tuchel as their long-term choice. I don't know why
Clearly,
they had to go, go and get someone who hardly gets going under unfavorable circumstances.
yeah, I mean, clearly you don't think he's the man. I fully understand Tuchel's not the best manager in the business and you don't want him there. I understand you don't see him as the long-term choice. Fine, but why give him a player then? Why sign a player for him? Not just mad.
I just don't understand. Like sometimes I just think like Boli is a rich guy who bought a football club but actually
I don't. I
doesn't actually understand the sport of football.
Oh, he hasn't got a clue. He thinks he's probably watched. Well, this is what the feeling I get. I wrote this in the article I did this week about Chelsea. I just quote. I got a. He just feels like he's a bloke who sat at home, watched that Welcome to Wrexham, and thought I could do that. You know, gives a job. Obviously, you won't get that reference because that's from Boys from the Black stuff. Gives a job. But yeah. Anyway, so Yossi Hughes, you should look it up. Yeah, anyway, so basically, it just feels like he sat at home, watched Welcome to Wrexham, and thought, you know what? I want to go with that. That looks like fun. Look at the way they've got all these people loving them. There's Ryan Reynolds. Now, I could do better than that. I've got more money than them. I'll go and buy a proper club. But hasn't actually got a clue about the sport before doing it. I mean, at least they'd watched. See, they'd done a similar thing because they watched that Sunderland documentary, hadn't they, before they went and bought it. Was basically the catalyst for them. I just get the feeling he's done the same thing and thought, well, it must be fucking easy. Look at those two useless twats there. I mean, they're not even they're not even business people properly. They're just actors. Do they know about running a business? I know about running a business. I could do this. Be easy. And then he's come in and he's thought, oh, this soccer ball's a bit odd, isn't it? It's a bit difficult after all, like. Because he tried to do everything at the beginning, which was really, really bad thinking. I understand everyone was deserting the ship, like, as it was sinking, all the rats were going, but they were useless anyway. I mean, let's face it, I know people rave about that Marina Granovskaya, but she wasn't exactly doing a good job, was she? Like I said, all these players
I don't know.
stuck in the
I don't know
squad.
who sanctioned the deal. I don't know who sanctioned the deal, but they signed Romelu Lukaku for 100 million
Exactly.
and ended up not actually knowing who Romelu Lukaku, like what kind of a player he is. They bought him They bought one player and expected something else from him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing was a mess, and it needed an overhaul, and that's probably the good thing is that they've got an overhaul. The worrying thing for me is they've now got three that seem to have overlapping jobs in Vivell. Who are the other two? Oh, you know what I mean, the two technical directors and sporting director. Three, sorry, technical directors and sporting directors they've got there. Do you know
The guy from Brighton.
Monaco guy? And then they're bringing in. Looks like they're bringing in the other fella as well, Paul Mitchell as well, doesn't it?
From Monaco.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean, how many do you need? Yeah, it just seems like they've gone from not having any to having far too many. Paul Winstanley from Brighton was the one I was thinking.
Yeah,
Lawrence Stewart
just
from Monaco and
just
Christopher
as
Vivell.
no, they brought someone in from Southampton as well. Not Monaco, I think it was Southampton. And if it is Monaco, then they've got four guys already.
You're thinking about the director of recruitment and talent, Joe Shields. He's the recruitment fella.
Why do they need Paul Mitchell if they've already got Christopher
Exactly.
Vivell?
Well, they've got sporting directors Paul Winstanley, sporting director is Lawrence Stewart, then they've got a technical director in Christopher Vivell, and they've got a director of recruitment and talent in Joe Shields. What on earth do they need Paul Mitchell for? They've already got too many, if anything. I mean, Paul Winstanley was a recruitment fella anyway, so they've got him and director of recruitment and talent. I mean, what do you need them both for? Lawrence Stewart's a recruitment fella as well, isn't he? Well, he's
But if
also
he's not, and
analysis.
if they need someone to do the negotiation, and then why did they already have four? Why do they have four guys who can't negotiate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand.
I don't know.
What's Mitchell gonna do?
I don't understand. I don't know.
Is this job sharing? Are they doing some kind of job sharing thing? Is it a tax write-off or something?
Vivell should be like if he is what he is supposed to be, if he is really as good as the sensations around him, which I think he probably is. Surely he knows how to structure a club. He comes from the Red Bull family.
Yeah. Exactly. Did you see? Sorry, just go on. Leicester City have appointed a new lead data scientist from Lego.
What?
He was working at Lego before.
Doing what?
Data scientist at Lego Group.
But how does it?
I don't know. I don't know how you end up going from there to there. I mean, he'd worked at data and insights. He'd worked, as data scientist or data and analyst and that before for City Football Group and West Ham, and then he's been at Lego. I mean, how the fuck does that work? How do you end up going? That beggars belief. That one. How do you end up going from football to Lego and then back to football again? I mean, how did they cross over? That's bizarre.
I don't know, I don't know how those jobs. Surely, like, what are them just as and I don't know. I don't know what to make of it all, but
The Chelsea thing is a mess. And sorry, going back to Chelsea, the too many cooks. I mean, they've got four guys who are basically recruitment specialists. How do you end up? How are they going to split the job? And then they're looking at Paul Mitchell, who's also a recruitment specialist. It's just looking like they've got carried away now. It's like his signings, isn't it? He's just gone. He's like a kid in a sweet shop, isn't he? I'll have that one, that one, that one, that one, that one.
and I will have that one in black, blue,
Yeah.
green, yellow, red, every color available.
Yeah, just give me 10 of them, please. Yeah. Just what colours is it available in? Come on, how many can I have? Oh, madness. Should we move on to
You know
Leeds?
what?
Mm.
You know what? I think Chelsea could actually do with a transfer embargo right now.
Yeah. Well, it did them a favour last time. They looked better after their transfer embargo. They were in better shape. The kids were in the side. They were playing well. They were looking like a good
I'll
side,
be
even
honest.
under Lampard. I mean, that's the thing. They've got one of the worst managers in history leading them, and they were still looking like a decent side. And then the transfer embargo's lifted, and they go back to being a mess.
If they get in a manager who can get the tunes out of Romelu Lukaku, then they could actually do with a transfer embargo. Just
Mm.
make do with the players you have.
I mean, that and Kunku should be. They should be all right
But
with
he's
him
not
as
a
well.
striker.
Hmm?
He's not your out and out striker.
No, but they don't really play an out-and-out striker. They tend to play a false nine most of the time, which is the problem which is why it was bizarre that they wanted Lukaku back and paid 100 odd million for him, because they didn't even play a striker. Strange. I mean, the setup there has been a mess for a long time.
How do you buy someone for 100 million? How do you buy someone who you've actually had at your club for quite a few years
Yeah,
before
and you
and
didn't want him in
and
the first place.
not actually understand what the player is?
Yeah. And you'd had problems with him. It's not like you just sold him because he was, because you'd been offered a ridiculous amount of money. He'd been causing problems.
Yeah, of all the players for them to buy back,
Yeah.
had to be Lukaku. It's
Yeah.
not like they didn't have many options.
No, exactly 100 odd million. They could have gone out and bought just about any striker in the world.
But even amongst the players they've let go in the past, like
Mm.
they've got
Yeah.
at least 100 good options.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Tammy Abrams, but if you want Lukaku, it's very similar in style. He's not as big and strong and fast, but he works harder and he's a bit more consistent with his striking as well.
Maybe they can buy him back this summer.
Yeah, for
They've got a
100
clause.
million.
No, not for 100. They've got a clause for about 70 odd million, I guess. Something like that.
It's ludicrous. He's not worth 7, let's be honest. Yeah, shit. I mean, that's just shambles. Should we move? Anyway, I think we should move on to Leeds because I think we've talked enough about Chelsea and I feel like it's just us slagging Chelsea off rather than that's how it feels like because they're in such a shambles. It feels like we're being a bit harsh on them rather than.
And I
And
don't think I'm being harsh. I'll be open and honest. I'm just trying to laugh at Chelsea's predicament right now because two things. Firstly, as a Manchester United supporter, I can tell them I know how it feels. We've been through such scenarios recently. And secondly, because they've got so many good players still, you never know if they just turn turn up next season and become a good side again.
they're very lucky. Tuchel got them to 38 points before he got the sack.
Because Potter didn't do jack shit, right? That's the narrative.
Well, it's not just Potter didn't do jack. It's the fact. What I mean is, I'm not saying Tuchel did well or anything. What I mean is they're lucky that before Bowley stuck his oar in and started messing around and then didn't support the manager that he replaced Tuchel with. Before all that, like they got to a point where they're pretty much safe because otherwise they could have easily gone down this season. And I don't think many people would have shed a tear for them that weren't Chelsea fans. I don't think anybody, there's any neutrals that would have cared if Chelsea went down, to be honest. I think most people would have just laughed.
I, I probably would laugh.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I think I
I,
would
I
as
will
well.
miss. I would miss them, but
Yeah.
that's still fine. A little bit, at least a little bit funny.
I'm not sure I'd miss them, to be honest. Don't really. They're not really a big rival. I know that we went through a stage when Mourinho was in charge and they were a big rival of Liverpool. So, but since then they've kind of fallen out of the picture. You know what I mean? And it's City have
Yeah, but
become the
for me,
big.
like, but you have to understand from my view, like, they were the, they were our rivals.
Yeah, for a
I
while
feel.
they were.
No, but that was the time when I first started like properly getting into football and getting
Ah,
competition.
right, yeah.
Like that from 2006 to 2010.
I forgot
Like
you were in
we,
your 50s before you got into football.
yeah, not 50, I think it was 60s.
60s, ah, right.
Yeah, yeah. But for that 4 5 year period, they were battling us for the league, Champions League,
Yeah.
FA Cup, everything. Like that is why I also don't like Barcelona. They took away two of our Champions Leagues.
Not sure you'd call it taken away. I think taken away would be what you did to Bayern in '99. That's taking it away.
No, that's just taking the game by the scruff of the neck and this.
That's just right. You know, that's part.
Wesley's neck.
That's football, though. It's 90. You know, you've got 90 minutes plus injury time to play. It's if you don't, if you.
Yeah, that's football. And similarly, that's football. You win the league by being the top team when all 38 games are finished,
Hmm,
not when 32 games are done.
yeah.
Arsenal.
Harsh, but true. Yeah. Anyway, should we go? I think we should move on to Leeds because there's a lot to talk about with Leeds, and I think we should start with before
Surely,
we move
like
on to the
surely,
manager situation. We have to talk about Victor Orta, surely.
yeah, but even before that, surely it is. If you had asked me the question, who would be a good solution for Chelsea, I would have said surely because he's not any worse than any of the managers around. I would have said Sam Allardyce, but that's a big miss for Chelsea.
Um,
We'll
I'm not.
get back to this. We'll get back to this.
I'm not so sure I'd have gone with Sam Allardyce as Chelsea manager because while his methods of training etc. are certainly not archaic, his football is fucking atrocious. It is just hoofball, and I don't
Yeah,
think that would work
but
with the Chelsea squad.
yeah, but nobody is ahead of him in football.
That's true. I think we should. Which, I think we should do a little quiz. Who said these things? Was it Billy or Sam Allardyce? Obviously, we all know he's the greatest manager of all time. The greatest England manager of all time, with the only manager with a 100% win record. So, who said?
Not a single point dropped. What a record.
Yeah, I mean he was fantastic for England, and up until the moment he got caught with a pint of wine in his hand. Up until
Yeah,
that moment.
a friend of mine was telling me like he took out his dictionary and looked for the word perfection, and in there was just like
A
the
picture of Sam, yeah.
meaning was yeah a picture of Sam, and it was like Sam Allardyce's England manager. That
I,
was perfection,
you can't
hundred
argue with it.
percent.
Can't argue with that. Legend. Obviously the greatest England manager of all time, and we'll move anyway. So, who said this? Firmino doesn't do enough.
That's Billy. That's
Oh, yeah.
gotta be Billy.
Yeah. Okay. If I was in charge of Real Madrid, I would win everything.
I would think our boy Billy would also say this, but it has to be Aladici.
I think it was actually both of them. So you're right. Yeah. Um, who
I think
said?
it was. I think it was also me who also said that actually.
Probably. Who also said I'm 68, but there's nobody ahead of me in football terms. Not Pep, not Klopp, not Arteta.
But if you had said like like nobody's
No,
ahead, I would have said Billy. But 68 is a giveaway.
I know that's the problem. He said his age. I mean, obviously, if he'd have said 168, it's Billy. But unfortunately, it's Allardyce. Yeah. I just there's a lot
Billy
more
was
talk about.
already 60. Billy was already 68 when football was invented.
Yeah. My bless him. It's a shame he's not here to listen to these. He'd have enjoyed these. He loves it when we talk about his age. Makes him feel young again. Yeah, so anyway, should we move on to... Let's just talk about Victor Orta for a quick bit before we go on to, obviously, Gracia going and Allardyce taking over for 4 games to try and rescue them. Orta, would you say his reign there as a director of football at Leeds United, do you think it was a success?
Uh, if you just laid the facts out in plain stats, right? Then it would be like he took over when they were a championship side.
Hmm.
He got them promoted, and they've not been relegated since.
Hmm.
I know it's not a long period of time, but still, on paper, it's like he was brought in when they were a championship side, and he has left when they're a Premier League team.
Yeah.
But if you actually try to look a little bit below the surface as well, then Leeds have actually not done too well
No,
with all the resources they poured into the club.
yeah, they've spent heavily and just got worse, if anything, haven't they? Oh.
Yeah, they were a better team when they came up than they are right now, at least on the field.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think his only success, in my opinion, as only real success was in getting Marcelo Bielsa to go to Leeds. I think that is the sum total of his real success. Most of the rest of his time, he just seemed to spend fighting with fans, with Leeds fans. I mean, not even like opposition fans. He seemed to spend his entire time, and then every time Leeds got a good result, he'd be sticking the middle finger up to Leeds fans and shouting his mouth off at them. And you're thinking, what? You're the director of football at the club, mate. You shouldn't be doing that.
He should be doing quite the opposite. He should be trying to smooth the relationship with the fan base.
Yeah, exactly.
I,
He's
I,
very divisive at best.
I think he's done two good things at like I think two, maybe you can say three, but two of those things are quite the same. Getting Bielsa in and then like keeping him on despite missing on promotion in his first season.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could say that. Yeah.
And and next up would be like ripping Manchester City off for what 40, 50 odd million for Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, that's a
That
fair
that
dues.
should also be a success.
But I would say that that's more of a Marcelo Bielsa success again because he actually coached him to make him look like a decent player.
Yeah, we can say that, but ultimately he got 50, 40,
Yeah,
50 million from Man City.
yeah. Though Pep's not exactly the best with money. He doesn't, it 40, 50 million to him's 10 million to other clubs, isn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, he was willing to spend that on Fred, so, his judgment of a footballer is very suspect. It's incredible that he's won so
Hey,
much.
but at least Fred is
How?
a professional.
Hmm?
At least Fred is a professional. He doesn't
Yeah.
turn up overweight.
Well, yeah, and yeah, that is. Phillips is clearly as unprofessional as they come. I mean, he does have a habit of buying players like this, though. Pep, like Grealish and Phillips and other players like that he's bought. And yet, when he took over at Barcelona, the first thing he did was clear out players like that. It's really odd. I don't understand his thinking there. Somebody needs to explain that to me. Mendy, that was the other one I was trying to think of. Everyone knew, even before he arrived, there'd been a lot of rumours about his lifestyle and what he was up to, which is why he was available for sale in the first place. So, yeah, it's not like he hasn't known. But anyway, so Victor Orta, he bought a load of shite. I mean, I've heard people saying, yeah, we had to fill up a lot of the players he brought, the youth team players, were just to fill up because they had too smaller squads, and they needed to fill it up. Well, you fill it up from the younger age groups then if you haven't got enough players. That's not how it works. You don't just go out and buy a load of players that aren't going to be good enough for you, the championship level when you're in the championship for your youth team. You don't. You just. That's not the way it works. That's bad planning. Just makes no sense. And players that are in the JKA, the John Kevin August, is it John Jane
Yeah.
Kevin Augustin thing?
How much is it? Like, isn't it gonna cost them like 30, 40 odd million now?
Something like that, and probably more because they're fighting it still. It's kind of like it's like the Cardiff with Salah thing, where they're fighting it for reasons that are utterly beyond me because they're not going to win. Why fight it? You're clearly in the wrong. You've fucked up. Just hold your hands up and pay the money and get on with it. Like, I don't understand why they fight these things. It doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah, like now they're just gonna have to pay more money for him, and they won't even get the money that they should have gotten for his sale, his consequent sale.
Exactly. That was a complete mess, and that's his. That's him that's got to take the blame for that. Whoever ultimately decided it, he's the director of football, and if he didn't like what was happening, I've seen suggestions that he wasn't involved in a lot of the decisions, like Jesse Marsh, for instance. I've seen suggestions that he didn't want him. It was the 49ers, which I think we both believed from the start anyway. That's true. But if you're the director of football and your remit is to hire head coaches as part of it, and then somebody else comes in and says, well, we're not having who you want because we want him in charge instead, if you've got anything about you, then you walk out, don't you? You quit your job because you're not being allowed to do it, rather than just sitting there and taking it. So I've got to say,
You don't want to take the blame for something you didn't do, if that is the case.
well, it's if you've got any if you've got any balls about you, you don't stand there and take it, do you? Somebody coming in and telling you you're not going to do, we're not going to let you do your job. We're going to do what we want instead, and we're just going to ignore you, even though this is your job and it's your decision to make. We're just going to stick a middle finger up to you and say no, thank you. We're going to hire him instead. You just don't take that, do you? You don't. You walk away. If that's the kind of conditions you're being made to work under, you're not being allowed to do your job. So what's the point?
Yeah, but if his judgment of the situation led him to Javi Gracia, then that also doesn't paint a good picture about him.
Yeah.
Like his abilities either.
And if it wasn't him that said it, and he's allowed them to pick somebody else again, then you've got to say his judgment is a problem for allowing them to continue to make decisions over his head.
I just don't understand.
Yeah.
If he wasn't involved in the decision making of either of those coaches, then why is he in the job? Because as a supporter, as a clueless guy looking in, one of the things that is very obvious for you to see what a director of football, sporting director, whatever the job title says, what you do is you get in the manager. The recruitment of the manager is like almost exclusively your most important job. The players, all those things you like ideally discuss with a panel of manager, coaches, scouts, maybe even owners, or whatever
Yeah, data
figures.
analysts, etc.
Yeah. But with managers, it's like obviously teams have different setups, but ideally, a manager is recruited by a director of football, and those two people work in tandem and take the club forward, right?
Yeah, well, the idea is the director of football sets up a play style for the entire, the entire setup of the club, and then he hires the coach and stuff to coach
Carry
it,
that out.
to coach the teams to play the way he wants it to play, wants the setup to run. And if he's not doing that, there's serious issues there with him. And you've got to say he's either a coward for letting them just walk all over him, or he's responsible for bad decisions. Either way, he's still responsible because it's his job,
Yeah, exactly.
even if
Like,
they're being overruled.
either he's a pushover or incompetent.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah, it's one or the other or a bit of both. Maybe I'm prepared. I tend to believe it's a bit of both. Having seen what he did at Middlesbrough and the mess he left them, I don't think he's very good, and I think they're better off without him. But that anyway, so he's left at last, and I think that's a good thing for Leeds, as long as they get the right man in to replace him. But along with him has gone Javi Gracia, and in has come Sam Allardyce. Do you think he's the man to keep them up? Do you think he can do it?
Well, if I'm just like being very facetious, very superficial, then Leeds are not in the relegation zone. They're just above.
Hmm. Is he,
So it just means that because I think Southampton are already down.
yeah.
It's just 4 games for Allardyce to better the results of two other teams.
Hmm.
He doesn't have to do much else, right?
It reminds me a bit of when Harry Redknapp took over at was it QPR, and they brought him in with a big payout
Yeah, yeah.
if they didn't get relegated. Well, they were nowhere near fucking relegation when he took over anyway. I mean, it's like it's just
And
kind.
got them relegated as well.
No, he didn't. He got sacked the next season because he was awful. He
Yeah, but whichever thing it is, but with 4 games to go, he just has to make sure he betters the results of two other teams.
yeah, and they've got a fairly decent run in, if I remember correctly. I mean, it's not like the other teams are in good form either. So it, I do
Yeah,
think
but my question to you is, if they were gonna go the route of Sam Allardyce, then why didn't they do it 5 games before instead of
that's
Fabric Garcia at all?
yeah, that's the question. I mean, Gracia had fallen apart. They'd absolutely, the
They
players.
should they shouldn't have brought him in.
No,
They could have gone for Allardyce right there and then.
again, I can't really find an argument to dispute that. But except that, like at that situation, I'm not sure the fans would have been happy with him coming in, and I don't think they'll be happy with him if he stays longer than 4 games either. Because his football, like I said, his football's dying. He does do good stuff on the training ground and that, you know what I mean? He isn't a dinosaur like people seem to think. He isn't just going to scream at them the way you see him on the sidelines chewing gum. I mean, I've never seen a man chew gum more aggressively than Sam Allardyce. But they think he's just gonna scream and a shout because that's what he does on the sidelines. They think that's how he is with the players in the dressing room, and that he isn't. That isn't how he works. He's they saying they need they need to kick up their. He's not someone who lights a fire under a player. He works with psychologists. He does that kind of thing. He's very much a arm round the shoulder kind of manager, which is how he worked with people like a Kocher and that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stood for being kicked up the arse. You know what I mean? They could have gone to a bigger club easily. Yeah, he's not. So he's not what they. I'm not sure he's what they need, to be honest. For 4 games, though, I mean, the others down there are in such a mess. I think anybody could have done it, but Gracia was clearly a mistake. Very odd choice as well, Gracia. I don't understand how he got the nod in under what.
Okay, I'm just looking at Leeds' next 4 games. It's Man City away,
Yeah, it's
Newcastle
after
at
that.
home,
Didn't realise they had Newcastle.
and then West Ham away, which could be a very crucial game in the
Yeah.
relegation battle. And then last day of the season, it's Tottenham.
Yes. Yeah, I knew they had an easy one. Yeah. But that's.
Spurs are a laughing stock right now, right?
Yeah. Well.
They are a laughing stock, right?
They often are.
They've been horrendous. They've been horrendous, especially after the World Cup.
They're
And yet still they're not even the biggest underachieving London team. How is it possible?
And they're still, they're still not out of European contention either.
But that's because of Liverpool. That's because of Liverpool being shit.
I was thinking more on the lines of as well. Brighton have got a few games in hand because they had FA Cup matches, so that could change anyway. When they
That could
catch up
change,
games
like,
in hand.
I know it's only like 4 or 5
When they
games
beat,
left for most of the
when they
teams.
beat Man United tonight, if they beat if they beat Man, sorry, I was that.
No, when? It's when. Brighton beat us 4-0 at home.
Oh yeah, they're at home, aren't they? Yeah, and you're not good away. But yeah, but it's like, even if they get a point, they're still, they're only a point behind Tottenham then with 2 games in hand. They could very easily stroll into the top 5, top 4 even eventually if they do beat Man United, and either Newcastle or Man United.
We could falter. We could definitely falter, especially with the injuries at the back for us. Or Newcastle could go on a run of 1 or 2, like 2 or 3 winless games. It could happen to anybody. It's not. I'm not trying to throw shade at Newcastle. Right now, I think Newcastle are just running with the vibes.
Yeah, I mean they could easily.
One bad moment, and they could have end the season with 1 or 2 disappointing results.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. It can happen at any time anyway. But
it can happen to anybody as well. It's not like.
Yeah, well, Liverpool's shown that this season, gone from being in contention for everything to being in contention for nothing overnight.
Even Arsenal, I know they lost to Man City, and that is why they're not gonna win the league and all. That is the narrative. But they drew 3-3 with bottom of the league Southampton. It could happen to anyone.
Yeah, it does, and will. The whole thing's a bit of a mess for these teams like that. For in the Premier League, it can be.
Hang on a minute. We didn't talk about Liverpool versus Spurs. Oh wow, that was one funny moment.
Oh, you mean
Richarlison?
The Richarlison scoring and celebrating like he'd won the league.
Yeah, Richarlison. Yeah, finally scored. Yeah. Celebrated like you said, like he had scored the winner in World Cup final or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Jota scores right away, and then Klopp goes on and does his hamstring.
Yeah, that was funny. How do you feel about what happened with the referee? what Klopp said. I mean, I've not got a problem with. I have got a problem with him getting in the face of the referee during a match. I don't like him doing that. Though I didn't think he was any worse than any other manager I've seen this season. To be fair, in that game, I've watched it like back a few times since. And I don't
No,
think
the
what he
thing is,
did was actually that bad. He just was celebrating, and I don't think it was wrong. Don't get me wrong, and he said, but what he said afterwards, his comments afterwards about it, I mean, these things are born from frustration because you can't criticize the referee anymore. I mean, why are referees immune from criticism when they have a shit game, and they have a shit game on a regular basis? But you can't criticize them for having a bad game. You just have to hear the PGML come out and make up lies about how they got it right when they clearly got it wrong.
this is one thing that I just can't understand. It's starting to happen more and more regularly. The PGMOL comes out and says VAR should have, like, this decision by VAR was wrong, that decision by VAR was wrong. How can you use replays? How can you take extra time away from the game to come to a conclusion and still get it wrong?
And surely it's like if you
It's
look.
it's understandable. I'm not saying it's agreeable, but it's understandable if a referee misses
Yeah,
something or referee keeps the wrong decision because he doesn't have the benefit of replays. He maybe doesn't have the benefit of different angles.
mm,
Sometimes your view gets obstructed. Sometimes you think you saw one thing, but actually something slightly
yeah,
different happened. It's understandable. But how can you use a replay system where you have multiple angles? So when sometimes you take 2-3 minutes and still come to a decision that is clearly wrong.
exactly. There's a serious problem here with the level of the officiating in the game, and it is about time something was done, rather than just fining managers every time they complain about them. I think we need to sort it out, don't we?
Yeah, and I know I keep getting back to the same thing, but a challenge by one player is a red card, and a similar challenge by another player is
By
not
Harry
seen
Kane.
as a foul. Not just Harry Kane, like
But yeah, this or Rodri
no,
or
but imagine, yeah, Rodri for example or whatever.
yeah. If Casemiro
I
makes
think,
a foul
yeah,
that Rodri makes, Casemiro gets a red card. Rodri doesn't even get a foul given against him. You're right. It is a different.
oh, exactly the example I was gonna use,
Yeah,
Casemiro.
yeah. If
Now that he's gotten 2 red cards, he has a reputation that when even if he makes a 50-50 challenge, gets the ball, if the opposition player rolls around, he gets a card.
Whereas if Rodri foul, it can go through someone's. It can go kick someone in the head. This Jota thing with the all this complaining about Jota should have been sent off. But like earlier in the same game, one of the said Skip, the player that was involved in the Jota challenge, did exactly the same thing, and nobody's talking about how he should have been sent off. Just how Jota should have been sent off. How does that work? I don't know if you saw the incident, but basically he did the same thing,
I
except his
didn't see,
foot was
I
much
didn't see
higher
the
in
one.
Skip. But you want to see
I
it because they
didn't
want
see
to
the
show it in
skip.
highlights and that because it doesn't. Yeah, because it doesn't.
Oh, come on. I watched second half of that game. I watched second half of
No,
that
what I
game.
mean is they want to show it in highlights or any highlight packages or anything because they don't want to get the control. The controversy isn't that a Spurs player should have been sent off. Let's just talk up the one that scored the winner rather than because they just want to get controversy. I'm not saying that like I'm not having to go at you for. I'm just saying they deliberately miss out things. Why I dislike watching highlights and will rather not watch a game at all than watch highlight packages. I'll watch a full game or I don't like to watch it at all because I just find highlights they're so biased on what the director wants to show that you often get a completely false picture of a match. Like watching Match of the Day, you can watch a game that I've watched I've been at Anfield, come home and watched it on Match of the Day later when I've got home, And I've thought that's a completely different game from the one I've saw. It's what I've just watched on Match of the Day. You know what I mean? It's nothing like the same game. So
It's like you're condensing 90 minutes of football into 2-minute highlight
yeah, but
package.
that's understandable. What they do is they deliberately pick out incidents that work for their agenda, whatever it is they want to talk about. So they'll want to talk about how Jota should have been sent off. So because he kicked at near Skip's head. So we'll miss out head. So we'll miss out that Skip also did exactly the same thing but with a higher boot, because that doesn't give us more to talk about. That just takes away from it, because you just have them people saying, well, at least the referee's consistent because he didn't send off Skip either. You know, you can't get there. You can't get the an argument going. You can't get controversy going if you show a fair, balanced picture. And that's what they want. They just want to get clicks on social media and that, don't they? Get people talking about it.
I in the live game, I didn't think it was a red for Jota. The replays and the blood coming out makes it look worse.
Yeah.
It's one of those where, like, when you just watch the game live, you don't see Jota going with full force and all. You think like, oh, ouch, but you don't think that's a straight red. Come on, ref.
Yeah.
But if you slow the game down and use different angles, and especially if blood is coming out, then it just looks worse.
Yeah, they shouldn't. I mean, one of the things that was supposed to be, Arsene Wenger said this when he was setting the rules for VAR, is they should never use slow motion replays. Everything should be at full speed. Because of that.
Yet most of the time when the referee goes to the screen, it's
slow motion replay, yeah.
It's slow motion replay and a still frame.
Yeah.
You don't show the full action.
As I look on it, if you're looking at it more than twice and you're still not sure whether a mistake's been made, then it's not a clear and obvious error. Get on with the game.
Yeah, that seems to be lost though. Clear and obvious.
Yeah, that seems to have been completely forgotten now, and they'll just watch it and watch it and watch it. It's the same with offsides. If you're looking at it and it's not clear, it's not immediately obvious first viewing that a player's offside when they're looking at it on VAR, then just get on with it. That's how it should be. I wish they'd stop going to VAR for offsides, and I wish they'd just put the fucking flag up when the minute they think is offside, rather than playing on for 10 minutes, because we've seen players getting hurt, and there's gonna be more.
Yeah, and also, like, I watched our game against Aston Villa. I was watching, and then once Aston Villa broke in, Ollie Watkins made a run. Out of that, they got a chance. Lindelof cleared off the line and all. All the while, I was just watching and I was saying, "Stop the play!" Ollie Watkins just looks offside.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it makes.
And then people were praising Lindelof and all, but I'm saying, like, stop the game already. It's offside. He didn't need to stop the ball. Let the ball go in.
Yeah, I mean, it's madness. It shouldn't be allowed to carry on like that. It doesn't make any sense to play on just in case he's onside. If he's offside, put your bloody flag up and let's just stop the game and get on, and play through. It makes a mockery, like people complaining about Liverpool's defence. It is bad this season. Liverpool's defence has been poor, but it's made to look far, there's far worse of a problem. It's made to look far worse of a problem because the offsides are being carried on. You've got them offside, and I'm sure there's a lot of teams say, are in the same boat. Obviously, I'm gonna use Liverpool because they're the team I know, I watch the most of. Like, they're getting caught offside, but it's playing on, and so a chance is being created. But then it's afterwards, the goal's being ruled out for offside if a goal's scored, or if not, it's it's cleared away anyway. But the chance shouldn't have been allowed to happen because the players were clearly offside and no flag went up. I mean, Yeah, it's just it just makes the game so messy. This sort of way they've got the offside at the moment. It's not improved it, has it? Let's be honest. If you're making changes to the rules, they should be to improve the game. There's nothing wrong with football how it was before VAR came in, really. As in, like, it was a good game. It has a huge following worldwide for a reason, because it was an excellent game to watch. You didn't need to make these changes. What they've done is made it worse.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not an upgrade on the proceedings.
So what did you think of the finish to the Tottenham Liverpool game then? Was it like, as a Man United fan, does it still get you excited when something like that happens? Or do you just think,
What was it?
Liverpool? Or is it like, ugh? You know what I mean?
No, what was it? I didn't understand.
You weren't listening, were you? Okay, start again. Like
I was listening. As a Man United supporter, how do I feel? But what, what was it in reference to?
the the last second goal for Liverpool.
I'm telling you, it's funny. It's funny. Maybe it's more funny because of who it was involved.
Right?
Richarlison,
Yeah.
the one guy who's a worse transfer than Anthony has been.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're worse players. I'm not saying they're bad, horrible players. But the transfer deal, I think Richarlison has been the biggest flop this season in the Premier League. 60 odd million and no goals until last Saturday. Was it Saturday or Sunday? Whichever day it was. He goes on and scores and he celebrates like he's won the freaking World Cup, Premier League, Champions League, all just in that moment, which was only a 3-3 draw as well. And then, come on. It was so hilarious for me.
And the best bit is watching the Spurs
Club.
social media afterwards, though. And the guys talking at the Spurs fans, talking about, it's the time for us to get a winner. Literally, they're saying that as Josh is slotting it home. It's like, no.
That was even better. Yeah. That was even better.
Oh, that's just hilarious, that kind of thing. You just think sometimes...
No, but I only watched the second half, so it just became 3-1 just as I tuned in, I just tuned in and then it became 3-1 and then the game just continued. I just thought it was bad game management by Liverpool. They just couldn't. I was just screaming at the television just calm down, take the sting out of the game for just play the ball around. Just keep hold of the ball. Just take all the momentum out of Spurs at 3-1. But it was like they were just giving the ball away again and again to Spurs.
Oh, terrible. It's just,
especially Robbo was getting caught in position so many times.
Yeah, I mean, it was understandable that he didn't play against Fulham. And Liverpool collected.
Oh, he didn't?
No, he didn't. Tsimikas played. See, I like Tsimikas. I'd like to see him get a lot more games. And I think Robertson's one of those, he puts so much into it, mentally, as well. I'm not talking about, the physical. I don't ever think the physical aspect's the issue, with exhaustion for players. I think it's the mental focus they're putting in for 90 minutes is a lot different from most sports. You know what I mean? You're having to put in a completely different kind of, as well as the physical aspect, and obviously the travel and that. But it's the mental side that makes it different. Someone like Robertson, he is so up for the games, so mentally in there, you know what I mean? He's given his all for the 90 minutes. You can't ever complain about his effort and his focus on the game. He really is in it. He's living every kick and he's throwing himself in for everything, even if sometimes you think he'd be better if he just took a step back a little bit. But it must leave you mentally tired, even if it doesn't physically tire you out. You know what I mean? You must need a break every so often from it.
And I also don't understand why Simicast doesn't get more game time.
Well, I mean, Simicast has shown. I mean, at the start of the season, was it
He had a
last?
genuine shout for being a better left back
Yeah,
at that moment for Liverpool.
Played some brilliant stuff at times. He's looked really good. I mean, was it this season or last season where he had that moment where he had like 4 players around him and he ended up still fighting for the ball and coming out with it while on the floor and things like that. I mean, he really looks like a player, and I think it's a bit hard done by to get so few matches.
Yeah, you would have think at least by now he would be much more. He just seems like someone who is an out and out backup instead of being a squad player. It just seems like if Robbo is there, he's gonna start at left back no matter what.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really no one's
And
just.
I think Simicast has earned his right to be a much more than that for Liverpool.
Yeah, it should be a rotation option rather than a backup, and he's a backup, which
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I think it is unfair on him. You're right. It's a shame. But yeah, back to the Spurs game. I mean, these kind of games when you get a 4-3, sometimes you get them like the first Liverpool Newcastle, sorry, game where it is a 4-3 and it's an absolute humdinger from start to finish, end to end football. And sometimes like this one and the second Liverpool Newcastle game, they're not really. It's one side's taking a clear and easy 3-0 lead, strolling and lets the other side back in, and through their own stupidity. And you will have people saying they're great games and they're among the great games, but it's not really that great a game. That should have been a game that Liverpool put to bed easily, and Spurs should never have been in it really. And it's quite worrying that Spurs were allowed back in. Shows how fragile Liverpool still are. What do you think of this new role for Trent Alexander-Arnold?
I don't know what to make of it. I've only watched one 45-minute half for Liverpool.
Yeah,
I know you're not a fan. I know you're not a fan of the setup, regardless of who does it.
yeah. It's the same when City do it as well. It leaves too many opportunities, and that's why they again, like I keep saying, that they got a team that's good enough to stroll away with the league. They should be miles clear rather than fighting with Arsenal, but they're fighting with
And
Arsenal
I
because
agree
their
with you.
setup holds them back rather than helps them, and I think that's the same. It does work to get to Alexander Arnold more on the ball, but why not just fucking put him in midfield then and get a proper right back up?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. If you want to play three defenders, someone in front of them, then just play three at the back and a guy in front of them
Yeah,
instead of
exactly.
doing all this like shifting around and moving around. And I think because you already have Konate and Van Dijk doesn't look all that great as he was, maybe three at the back is a decent solution. Anyways, wouldn't you think? Like Konate is from his Red Bull days,
Yeah,
Red Bull Salzburg,
he's very
not
used to
Salzburg.
playing a back
Like
three.
he's used to playing three. Yeah, he's used to a back three system. Van Dijk looks like he needs more cover than he ever did.
Yeah, and he's
Trent
played a back
Trent
three.
has at least with Trent, even if you agree or disagree, there is a narrative around him that he just can't defend.
Hmm.
It's easy.
Uh,
It's easier in a three at the back system as a wing back than as a flat back four. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it looks much more simpler and much more
it's
an
certainly
easier solution right now.
it's certainly simpler than this inverted fullback where they run inside, because you've got players crossing over each other all the time, and that's fine when you're attacking and you play. When you're on the ball and you've got players shifting around to move the opposition around, but that's why you do the movement, to move the opposition around and cross over and stuff, is to create space to attack. But when you're doing it defensively already to yourself, you're crossing over and getting in each other, it's gonna leave gaps, it's gonna create problems. It really, I don't like it at all, but I don't like a back three either. I'm personally not a fan of it, to be honest. Really not a fan of a back three system. And I know you don't, but
I'm a 4-3-3 guy. I'm a 4-3-3 guy, but I can see a merit in 3 at the back system. I can see how it can work.
Yeah, I can see how it works. But
I don't like doing it. I prefer 4-3-3 all the way. And it's like 4 at the back, 1 defensive midfielder, 1 center midfielder, 1 attacking. Everybody is flexible enough to rotate around. Like, is defensively competent and attackingly competent. That is how I like to see my teams.
But the problem with doing the back three is you then have to play with a right wing back, which again wouldn't put Trent Alexander-Arnold in the position they're trying to put him in central midfield. You're left with a similar problem. Is the issue for me?
Maybe you can have like Mohamed Salah as a right wing back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously you've got Conor Bradley coming back, who's a very good right wing back and a right back. See, for me, you've got him and Ramsey now, when he's fit, if he's ever fit. But you've got Bradley coming back next season. Put him at right back. Have Ramsey as cover, and if he's injured, obviously in need, you've got Gomez or Trent Alexander-Arnold as cover. But shift Alexander-Arnold into midfield properly. Play him in midfield. If that's where you want him to, if that's where you see him as, and I do think he's... I thought that when he first joined, I thought like the plan was, that was originally the plan was he was just going at right back because there was a gap there, but his future was seen as a central midfielder. So I always thought eventually he'd end up back in there, but it seemed that he'd made the right back slot his own. He'd been outstanding there. It made no sense to shift him. Until now, Liverpool have got 2 good right backs at the club, 2 good young right backs. Why not? So why not give this a go? Put him in midfield and see if he is back in there, is where he's meant to be. I would certainly like to see it done full time, properly, not this half and half thing, which is just shite for me.
So you'd like him to start in the Henderson role, I assume?
Yeah.
Right side at the midfield.
Look, if you're not going to get Bellingham, put him there.
You're not going to get Bellingham.
Yeah,
there is no if.
You're not going to get Bellingham. That's what I'm saying. If you're not going to get Bellingham, when this happened, this is the moment you knew you're not going to be getting Bellingham, you're not going to be signing Bellingham, then he should have been moved into midfield because he's the closest player in English foot, in the English foot player to Bellingham kind of ability. So put him there, especially when you've got options to play at right back. It's not like you need him at right back anymore. Oh, yeah, I think this is a chance. Liverpool needed a midfielder. Why didn't they do this in the summer? I just didn't understand this Bradley going out on loan. But he should have been.
I'm of the opinion Trent has proven himself to be one of the best right backs, and
yeah, I agree with that.
We should I think you should continue with that.
Yeah, but it's a bit like Dennis Irwin at Man United. He'd been the best right back in the English league for a number of years. He'd been fantastic. You got him at Man United at right back, but you had a space. You needed a left back, and you had options at right back. You couldn't find an option at left back, so you move him over there. You put your option in at right back who can play there, and Dennis Irwin morphed into the best left back in English football for a while. And you've got a good enough player at right back. Why not do a similar thing?
So if it works out, it works out. But I wouldn't do it. I'm not against Klopp trying it. I just think I wouldn't do it because Trent is
I wouldn't if we didn't have Bradley there.
fair enough. I've not seen him play.
Yeah, if it was still Nico Williams, he's a backup at best. That's all he was ever going to be, is a backup. Good player, but not good enough that you'd want him in there as a regular. You know, to come in every so often for the weaker games and the cup matches to give Trent a rest, fine. But you wouldn't want him to be, a long-term regular first choice right back. Bradley, on the other hand, is an excellent young player, and I would have liked him to. I didn't agree with sending him out on loan this season. I know he's been excellent for Bolton. He's won their Player of the Year. From right back, from right wing. He's played right midfield as well. He's been outstanding for them. Yeah, I know it's League One. People are going to say League One, but he's a top class player. This lad's going to be. He's a very good right back. I'd play him. I'd put him in there, and I'd be confident that he'll do a good enough job to, if you were challenging at the top end of the table, I don't think he'd look out of place. If we're back up there again, I don't think I'd have a problem with him there, and it gives a chance to fix a good portion of the midfield issues, which are which leaves. Then it's the major worry, and is the central defence. Rather than having to spend 150 million on a midfield, to repair the midfield, you've already got one in there who can go a long way to fixing it, in the shape of Trent Alexander-Arnold. He played midfield all throughout his youth, so it's not like it's new for him. Right up until the moment he got into the first team, he was a midfielder, central midfielder. So why not give him a go?
Oh, okay. I can see the logic in saying why not, but
yeah. If we didn't have,
but you still need midfielders. But you still need midfielders as well.
Yeah, still needs. Bajcetic is too young.
Probably need two.
Possibly, but you buy one and you get Rabiot on the free.
Yeah, but there's still two.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you have to spend money on two.
Yeah, but what I mean is, then you fix the midfield for hopefully for a few years while you can then rebuild the defence without having to spend 150 million. You've moved in a player who's 150 million, potentially 150 million player into the middle instead, and you've given a youth player a chance in the shape of Bradley as well. So it's all, it's a win-win then, because obviously you want to be getting these youth team players into the first team if possible. Well, I do anyway. I think that's the way clubs should be looking at it. Is their first call should always be, have we got anybody in the youth that can fix our problems?
Well, that should be how it works, but sadly, it's not.
Yeah, it used to be how it always worked.
The more years go by, it just becomes less and less like that. Youth football and academy system is purely business nowadays. Sadly, that's the thing. You try to hoover all the talent from all around the world and then just try and make profit on them when you move them on in 2-3 years after few load moves as well. Thrown in the Chelsea model.
It really doesn't make sense to me. The whole point is everything should be built around putting the best team possible out on the pitch every single week. Everything at the club should be, whether that's the youth academy or the first team, your signings, everything. It should always be about that. That's how I look on it, and it doesn't seem like football clubs run that way anymore. It's bizarre because, the best business model is success. The best way to make money in a football sense, is success. So, surely the idea is you should be building around that as your first thought.
No, you would think so, but football has moved on to that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, but it has. Sadly, it has. And since we're on Liverpool, I just wanted to ask what's going on with Darwin Nunez?
He's just been dropped because other players are playing well. I mean, Diaz. Yeah, I mean, that lad is a bit special. So, he was always going to struggle to keep the place. And Jota came in first off and was scoring goals. Much as I'm not a big fan of Jota, as you know, I think he's a weak as so when he starts. I like him as an impact sub. I think he's brilliant as that, though ridiculously overpaid for that role. But yeah, he come in, he scores goals. Nunez isn't scoring as many goals, so you keep the player in who's putting the ball in the back of the net, don't you? And then when he does stop scoring, Diaz is fit, and Diaz is a better left winger than Nunez. Unfortunately, Hakpo, your mate there, has solidified himself as a central forward now. So you
Yeah,
can't.
Gakpo scored, right?
Yeah, he's been scoring a few and so a lot of assists as well. He's been doing really well. So when you're Nunez, you're kind of like, yeah, Hakpo fits into the way Liverpool are used to playing with a deep lying centre forward. Whereas Nunez he wants to be on the shoulder running in behind. So Liverpool are used to playing that from wide areas, but Diaz is obviously a much better left-sided forward than Nunez. Which is no fault of Nunez because he's not a left-sided forward. He's a central striker. But I'm sure he'll get his chances next season. But I certainly wouldn't.
I'm sure he's just regretting the decision right now. He would rather have joined the better red side in England.
Not so sure about that, but I think he probably would have been would have been certain.
He'd be first choice. Come on.
Yeah, and he'd be walking, and you'd be top three now. You'd be fighting, you'd be clear top third.
Oh,
If you had him.
if we win today, we're gonna be top three still. So come on.
Yeah, but what I mean is you'd already have third sewn up. Is what I'm saying. If you'd have had a proper striker up there rather than Weghorst, which is like he was the best you could get rather than he was what you need. What you needed.
Oh, he's such a likable guy, Weghorst. Even like when we beat Brighton in penalty shootout, every player ran to us. The goal. He ran to us, the end where supporters were, and all that. But at the end of the day, it's not who is the most likable. It's who is the most who's a good player and who's not. And I think it's been months since he has last scored for us, and he's not scored in the Premier League for us either.
Yeah, I mean he's just out of his depth, isn't he? That's a sad thing. It's a shame for the lad, but yeah, he's just.
Because he seems to be really he just seems to be over the moon with his whole situation right now. He just seems like so overjoyed and all, just happy to be there, happy to contribute. Seems like he is giving his all every time, but
it's just not good enough.
Very limited. Yeah, it's very limited.
But like, what option did you have at the time? Who else could you bring in? You didn't have money to spend because of the mess you're in, with the takeover. Yeah, I mean, the lad was just what you got is you have to make the most of it, don't you? And you're doing all right even with him there, so can't really complain, can you? Right, I think we should move on though. Have you seen that about Jose Mourinho and the referee?
Oh, his
microphone. Yeah.
Yeah, secret mic for Mourinho.
Yeah.
Because he wants to protect himself.
Against the worst referee I've met in my life, and he's not even in the English league anymore. Christ. So he recorded everything from the moment I left the locker room to the moment I returned. I protected myself. He is the worst. Technically, he's horrible. Zero empathy, zero communication, zero awareness. A second yellow to a guy who slips in the 96th minute. I stopped working 20 to 30 minutes from the end because I knew he'd give me a red card for anything. I didn't give him the opportunity. I decided, no, that's enough. To be fair, like I said, I think that there is a real problem with officials at the moment in the game. It's in all leagues in Europe. There's a problem. I don't know what's going on, how they can be so bad, but they are. And VAR's making it worse rather than helping it, which is the thing I don't understand. But like we said, they're not even following their own instructions for VAR anymore. When was the last time you saw a clear and obvious error that was changed? I mean, you see clear and obvious errors all the time in matches, and VAR doesn't intervene. But it intervenes in like somebody's a ball hair offside, and it'll intervene. It makes no sense. Or there's a decision, and you're thinking, "Oh, not sure is that correct? I don't know whether that's right or not." And then VAR will come in and say, "Oh, that's a mistake you've made there, ref." And you're thinking, "Has he? I'm not sure." It's not clear and obvious ever. The ones they intervene in.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but I don't think it's worth talking about VAR anymore. You just end up saying the same things,
Yeah,
and
true.
next week, same thing happened, and you just keep repeating yourself, and nothing changes.
But if something doesn't change, there's going to be more. These like Jose Mourinho, the Klopp thing. I mean, it's been happening all season with Pep, Arteta. Or when you go through the whole list of the Premier League referees, every single one of them's been in trouble at some point for arguing with the officials, and it's not because they're just knobheads who want to fight with the officials. It's because the officials are so bad that they're getting frustrated, and they can't say anything. They can't just like say, hold, just think, well, afterwards I can criticize him. I can say I think he made a mistake there, because if they do, they get in trouble. So how do they, how are they meant to respond when there's an issue? They know nothing's going to get done about it, and if they complain about it, they get in trouble. Well, what are they meant to do? I mean, you've got to expect them to get frustrated. It's the same with players misbehaving and diving and stuff. If referees actually clamped down on it and did something about it, when they're screaming in their face, if they start showing them yellow cards or red cards for it, it's down to officials to be stronger and actually act and be better. Basically, yeah, I can understand why Jose Mourinho did what he did. I think he's probably something he should do in every game. Oh yeah, because he threatened. That was in. That's right. I'd forgotten about that. He threatened to take legal action. He suggested a fourth official in February spoke to him in an unjustifiable way, and he ended up sent off, didn't he? And got a 2-match ban, and he threatened to sue him.
Didn't that ban get overturned though?
I can't remember whether that.
Which in turn just makes the referee look
Hmm.
incompetent again.
What I don't understand is it's like this issue with Klopp and Tierney. I've got no problem with him saying he's a stupid, if he's saying he's shit or something. But like, if why are we not hearing what's said at the time? Why is it hidden instead of the PGMOL coming out and saying, oh no, we've listened to it all and nothing was said? Fine, if it was anybody else saying it, you might believe them. When PGMOL had come out and say it, you just think, well, why can't we hear it then?
And also with PGMOL, if they are allowed to come out and say like, look, this decision was wrong, this call was unjust and whatever, surely the players and managers involved are also allowed to say that, right? They should be allowed to say that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they can't why can't they criticise mistakes? Why can't they criticise the officials for making mistakes? It's bizarre. Really is. Why are they just allowed to just carry on. I just don't understand this thing where they think they're immune to criticism. Everybody gets criticised when they get things wrong. Everybody. We all make mistakes, but how we improve is somebody tells us, "Oh, actually, you got that wrong," and then you look at it and you think, "Shit, yeah, I did," because you're not going to know otherwise, are you? How do you know you've got something wrong if somebody doesn't tell you? Because if you think it's right, you're not looking to see if it's wrong or not, are you? So there should be someone looking to say, "Oh, you got that wrong," and then you should be looking at how you improve it. But when you've just got when you can't have someone telling you got it wrong, it just makes no sense. I don't understand what the problem is with being criticised. We all get things wrong. Just get on, just
Not me. Not me. Name one thing I've gotten wrong in the whole podcast.
in this whole podcast. Well, I have pretty much everything. You're my age.
In
My
all my
age for
podcast
starters.
appearances.
Yeah, oh, Christ, do you want me to write a list?
Yeah, not a single call wrong. I predicted the whole World Cup from first week to the last. I was the only guy who was saying like Haaland is gonna break all scoring records ever known to humanity.
Yeah, and Spain would score a ridiculous amount of goals in one game and then not score again. Yeah, he said things like that as well. Yeah, you're right. You just
Yeah, I even predicted that Rafa Leao to not get too many minutes and not do too well for Portugal. Like everything I've said,
yeah,
I have a spotless record. Come on.
yeah.
Other people get things wrong. I've never got a single call
I
wrong.
think the only thing you've got right is the pronunciation of Hodi Hakpo or whatever it's pronounced.
Hakpo.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. I think that's about the only thing you've got right, isn't it? Apart from you,
And I'm just sad. I'm just sad that we've not been able to do more podcasts recently when Hakpo has been
yeah.
informed.
He's been scoring goals. You must be gutted because you haven't got a chance to say his name. I see on the lead site someone was saying that like he was set to sign for Leeds. It was all set, but
No.
It's like that's just utter bullshit. I'm sorry, I don't believe it at all. He wasn't set to sign for Leeds. He didn't want to sign for Leeds.
He's wanted to sign for us. We opted for
Yeah, he was.
Anthony.
That's what killed it. He's saying that Radrazani refused to pay an extra fee to his agent or his father or whatever, or if his dad's his agent.
But they never agreed a deal with PSG.
Exactly. It's nonsense. That's what I mean. It's just someone trying to defend Orta. It is. It's like because it's just bullshit. It's just not true. Don't believe anything he said about it at all about Orta. Just nonsense. So yeah, he definitely 100% PSV never agreed a fee with Leeds. They said that themselves as well. Leeds wouldn't offer enough money. So
They did, and PSV didn't agree a deal with us either. To be clear,
yeah,
we just never went in with an acceptable offer for them,
yeah, but
and
that's
instead
that's
ended
you're
up
too busy
overpaying
buying
for Anthony.
Yeah, that's why you didn't because you bought Martinez from Ajax and Ten Hag was so determined he wanted Anthony as well. You had to pay over the odds to get him because he didn't really. Sorry, got hiccups.
Because we didn't do it on time. That's the issue.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure had we tried and do a double deal for Martinez and Anthony,
Exactly.
it would have been much cheaper. We just delayed.
Exactly, that's what I mean. And you've then paid them
Delayed.
enough money they don't need to sell, and they've sold a few others. So it's just an absolute mess. Your transfer window was again.
Yeah, but I don't. It's like there is nothing surprising and nothing newsworthy if we make a whole mess of a transfer window. It's just around the mill.
And
This happens every time, and it's gonna happen again this summer.
And you're overshadowed by the shambles at Forest and Chelsea as well. So it kind of got lost in the summer, didn't it? How bad United's window was because of what was going on at Chelsea and Forest was just everybody was like, what the fuck is going on there? And like everybody lost focus on anybody else. You know, nobody was taking notice of the fact that other clubs were making a mess of their windows as well. You know,
Yeah, and by saying we had a bad window, I'm not saying we had bad recruitment. I'm saying the way we
yeah,
dealt with the whole transfer. That's
yeah, yeah. There's a difference between you've recruited crap or you can make a mess of it and still get the right
yeah.
players. Like some of the players Chelsea have bought, I mean the right players, Madueke, etc. A few others. They're decent. There's not a
Yeah,
problem with
but
them as players.
Badiashile
But
is a decent.
yeah,
Badiashile is a decent buy. Even if they ended up overpaying, Enzo Fernandez would turn out to be a long-term
exactly.
decent player for them. Mudryk looks a player with
Yeah,
very good potential and all, but it's
yeah.
just
It's
how you went about with the deal.
yeah, and how much they ended up paying when they could have ended up buying them for a lot less, or bought similar players for a lot less, and
For a
still
lot
have
less.
money left over to buy fill other gaps in the squad. Yeah, that's the same with United, where you ended up you've spent so much on Anthony, you couldn't fill all the other gaps in it, and buy like the central striker you desperately needed more than Anthony. But yeah,
Yeah, that was the thing in January. That was the rumor doing the rounds, just because we overpaid for Anthony, so we can't afford to pay any fee for a striker, even if we wanted to send someone.
hmm, yeah, what the problem was. Yeah, you got nothing left in the bank. But anyway, shall we? I think we've talked so much about We ended up back at teams like Man United for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, I was just going to say.
Maybe it's to do with the fact that one of us is a Man United supporter and the other is a Liverpool supporter.
Yeah, I can't think how that's related because it's not like either of us would have any interest in what's happening at Man United, is it? But we'll go back to your mate Messi, I think, quickly before we finish. I don't know if you've
What's
heard.
it done now?
No, you've not heard Paris Saint-Germain. They have had to increase
I
the
was just,
security at the homes of
uh,
Messi and Neymar. Obviously, you'll be outside. You'll be outside helping protect his home, I'm sure. Because they actually, you said about the supporters outside Neymar. Did you say about it, or was it on the Was it on here, or was it
yeah.
on the widget? I can't remember now. Whether he's on the widget, on the WhatsApp.
I think it was before. I think it was before we went live.
Ah, right, yeah, we did. The supporters gathered anyway. So supporters gathered outside Neymar's home on Wednesday and chanted for him to get out the club. Basically, I think what they said
And
was, wasn't
Messi,
it
Neymar
something?
and Messi
Yeah,
both.
wasn't it something like "get fuck off out of our club" or something like that? Was what they are actually chanting. It was something along those sort of lines. I think I've read. I'm not. Yeah, so they've now put security outside them, even though they want both of them out as well. So seems to be that like. Yeah, I mean, how did it end up so bad for Messi there? You think this was the kind of move that was made in heaven for him? All the money in the world, and PSG are known for mollycoddling their stars. How has it ended up so bad?
And he only had to, like, he only had to win them one Champions League, and he'd be a legend.
Yeah, well, I mean, and they're miles ahead of the league in terms of what they should be doing. They should be walking away with the French league, shouldn't they, every year? But then,
How can you have how can you have the two most expensive attackers, two most expensive players in the history of the game, and the GOAT, as he is known in the football sphere,
yeah,
and never even look like winning the Champions League?
and struggling to, only not really exactly running away with the French league even. I mean, I know they're 5 points ahead, but you got to remember how bad the opposition is, and they've lost 3 of their last 6 matches. How does Paris Saint-Germain lose 3 in 6 matches when the league isn't sewn up? Once you've won it, fair enough.
Yeah, losing 3 games whole season is a bad thing for them. Should be considered a bit bad for them. But
Yeah, they've lost 6.
they're just a mess. They're just a mess, man.
Yeah, they do need. I mean, they wanted Neymar out last summer, so understandable. But still, I mean, why? I don't. I've got to say, I really do not understand what the thinking was behind recruiting Messi for them anyway.
Profile. It's just to try and increase the profile of the club.
But the way to do that is winning the Champions League, and he was never going to be he was not the difference between a team winning the Champions League and not winning it. Not anymore. At one time, he was a good player, a great player even. But now
They
he's
signed they
lazy.
signed Messi. They signed Messi on a free, Donnarumma on a free, Ramos on a free, Wijnaldum on a free,
Yeah,
maybe someone else
how many of
as
them have
well.
worked out?
Hakimi for big bucks, but yeah.
Mm.
And yet hardly one guy has been a success. That's Hakimi.
Well, yeah, and even he's looking a bit dodgy ground as well at the moment.
And we can say, well, Donnarumma, what about him? Has he improved the team in any way, shape, or form from Navas in goal? And I don't think so. I'm not saying Donnarumma is a bad player, but he hasn't improved the team.
Yeah,
He hasn't helped them get better.
even though Navas isn't that good, Donnarumma hasn't really lived up to expectations, has he, since joining PSG?
And and on the other side of the spectrum, his replacement has won them the league. Mike Maignan has won Milan the league.
Yeah. Well, Mike Maignan a better keeper. He should have been the one they went and signed, but
I told you he's a better keeper 6 months ago as well.
oh god, here we go again. Oh great, yes, you're right. Yes,
This
well done.
this actually might be one
Yeah, you
shout
were
I
right about
actually did
something.
get
Yeah,
correct.
you said it before that. You said it before 6 months ago. Last
I
season, I
said
think
it.
it was the end. I think it was in the summer window. You were saying it was about him.
Now let's just hope he doesn't go to Chelsea.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of signing that Chelsea needed to make in the summer. Maignan.
Even in look, just I don't think it would have happened in January, but they spent 200, somewhere around 200 million for a central midfielder and a left winger, right? Chelsea
Mm.
and something about 200. Surely for 200 you could have gotten a good goalkeeper, a good midfielder, a very good attacker, and still have a few million pounds left.
Should be able to. And if you can't, then there's a real problem with your
And then
recruitment.
if you can't, then you have to get rid of the guys you brought in, the likes of Vivell, Win Stanley,
Mm.
Stewart, whoever it is.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
I don't think the rest of the other top 5 leagues spent 200 million in January.
no, didn't Chelsea outspend like
Every other league combined.
yeah, yeah, in the January and isn't that January and the summer window they did it. Astonishing what happened there. Still, I mean,
So, anyways, where do you think Messi is gonna go?
looks like surely he's got to go to Saudi Arabia to play alongside to play against.
Yeah,
Um,
that is the genesis of his most recent problem, right?
yeah, he's working as their tourism ambassador. He's got offers to play there. Is it Al Hilal that have made him an offer?
Apparently, 400 million a year.
Yeah, so
Those guys are crazy rich, man.
I can't believe it's that much, but like, yeah, I'm sure it's obscene amounts of money. I, you can't see who else can afford him. I mean, Inter Miami's the only one I can see who could possibly offer him another option because he might want to live there and
Well,
you know.
actually, like it's rumored that he already has a house in Miami, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Messi. So maybe.
And you know, it's America. For some reason, people seem to want to live in America. I don't know why. Don't know enough about it to say why he'd want him. Don't know if he's because he doesn't seem to have the like Ronaldo. He doesn't seem to be trying to break them up. You know, I don't know. It does seem to be into Miami anyway, and Saudi Arabia.
And Barcelona. Come on.
No, they need to drop 200 million just to make a signing, and they've still got to register.
Oh, come on.
They still
Clearly,
haven't
listen.
got Gavi's
Clearly,
contract. They still haven't got Marcus Alonso. Somebody else. I think there's 4 players
Sergio
with
Roberto.
contracts. Hmm? So
I think Sergio Roberto as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
Sergio
he had a
Roberto is.
renewal.
I can't remember. There's like 4 players that they for the first team, and that's not counting youth team ones as well. You know, academy players. But for the four players for the first team, I think it was last time I looked, that are waiting for their contracts to be ratified, their new contracts, so that they've agreed and assigned and just waiting for the league to pass off, and they've got to shed 200 million. There's no way they can afford to sign Messi. Let's be honest, the greedy little shit isn't going to play for nothing, is he?
I was just gonna say, clearly he loves Barcelona so much, he's just gonna play for free.
That's then that's the only way I can see them affording him, and that's not going to happen, is it? Let's be honest. He's just not going to do that.
No, no chance.
Oh,
He would rather go back to Argentina.
yeah, play for a few quid. Go back. I mean, this is the thing. He never actually played in Argentina, did he? He moved out to Barcelona so young.
Yeah, about when he was, even before he was a teenager, right?
Yeah, he was very young. So he's never really played it. Maybe this is a good time. Maybe that would be the best option all round for him to go to Argentina. He's the World Cup winner. I mean, surely that
Or,
should.
or maybe if he is up for it, then he can try his hand out in Nepalese football. I can rent him a room or two if he wants to.
Or two, yeah. You've got plenty of room where you are. Yeah.
Actually, we do.
Yeah. I know, I've seen the
No,
pictures.
on a serious note, yeah, we do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, definitely, yeah. Could you imagine it? Messi signing the Nepalese football and then coming to stay with you. That just would be hilarious. Oh, that'd be worth a TV documentary on its own. I bet you'd be, hey Lionel, hey Mr. Messi, what can I get you?
No, all of a sudden I will be
Yeah.
starting to say Messi is the god.
Yeah, it'd all be changed, wouldn't it? You wouldn't be arguing with the Messi fans then, would you? You'd be one of his biggest. Oh, you've always been my favourite. That'd be you. I know it. You'd be a
Yeah,
right little sucker.
there is no proof. Listen, Lionel, there is no proof in YouTube world.
Yeah.
Nowhere have I ever said that there is a chance you're a lying, cheating kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always said you were the greatest. Yeah. I only supported Man United because I thought you were going to sign for them. That's it. I didn't. I don't. Because Ronaldo left. That was when I started support. That'll be what you'd be telling them. Uh, you know.
I only supported Man United after Ronaldo left for Saudi Arabia. That is how you spin it.
Yeah, because they got rid of him, and you're the goat. You're my hero. Oh, Lionel. Uh, don't worry.
Lionel Messi, more like Idol Messi.
Yeah. That would make Rob jealous if you had Lionel staying with you, hey? Uh, Bless you. Anyway, I think we've pretty much covered everything for today, haven't we? I can't think of anything
No,
else
I,
got left to talk about. We missed anything?
do we talk about Mane apparently close to leaving Bayern now? Or
Well,
at least like Bayern and Mane coming to an agreement that they're gonna part ways in the summer.
yeah, the starters also. Oh, it's 0-0 still. Brighton, Man United. Haaland breaking the
Oh
record.
yeah,
Everton in
Haaland broke
talks
the
of a
record.
new investment as well. So we got a few things more actually. So which one?
Napoli are currently losing right now as well.
Yeah, yeah. This guy and this. All they need to do is get a point, don't they?
No, they need 2 points, so they need to win.
Oh, it says they need knowing a point within their 33-year wait for the Serie A title. I just looked at
Oh
fixture.
yeah, it's a point. Yeah, it's a point because Lazio lost last week.
Yeah. There you go. See, so it's a shame, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see them win it, to be honest, just to have someone different.
They're gonna win it.
Yeah.
They're gonna win it, and I was thinking maybe it would be better if they won it in Naples.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe lose this game, and then just to win
Yeah.
the next game at home.
Yeah, absolutely smash them.
Imagine
They
the
go.
scenes.
Yeah, because they go mad. So, yeah. Should we, anyway, so they're Haaland.
Okay, Haaland broke the record. Nobody saw it coming. At least,
Well, yeah, it's a big
at least
shock.
I know at least two people who have appeared on podcast regularly saying
No,
maybe
to
it's
be
not suited to the.
yeah, but
No,
to be fair, we always said he'd
I know.
score
We never
goals.
said he's not. Yeah, we
Yeah,
never said he's not gonna score goals.
yeah, we
And
just said
ultimately, if he doesn't, if Man City don't win the Champions League, he's still not gonna count as success, at least in my eyes.
yeah, I'm the same. It's because he's been bought to win them the Champions League, and it could well work. It could well work, but like I still don't think he improves them as a team. Him being there, but you know he'll score goals. Does he deserve his guard of honour? Well, you know he's broke a record. Fair play. Well, of course he should get a guard of honour. Surely that's how it works, isn't it? When you do something like that. But
Yeah,
for a big one like
it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big news. I only read he got guard of honor. Move on, no problem.
yeah,
I've got no issues.
yeah,
I
no,
wouldn't have given him that if I was, but obviously I'm looking with rose tinted glasses.
yeah. I don't see the point in it myself. But he got one. He does. You know, they do them for everything these days. So what's the issue? I just don't see that it's a big thing. So, yeah, it's one of those. Just get on with it, isn't it? Yeah, Everton in talks for investment. So I think we knew this was going to happen because they can't afford to pay for their stadium. Now Usmanov's no longer able to put money in. Uh,
So Mosiri actually is just the face of Everton ownership, right? It's just
yeah,
been clear and obvious. Now it's just obvious.
yeah, because they can't afford to do the stadium. Well, yeah, why not? If they can't, why can they not afford to finance it if it isn't because Usmanov's money's dried up now? Because otherwise, there's absolutely no reason. It doesn't affect FFP. So you can't say it's because they can't do it for FFP reasons, because it's absolutely irrelevant for FFP. You can put as much money into your stadium and your infrastructure as you want. It doesn't come out of your FFP bit. So you know, the only reason you can't afford to, why you suddenly run out of cash, is because Usmanov suddenly can't afford to front money. You know, can't afford to give money to his front man. So yeah, yeah. So they need
It's a
investment.
777 group, right?
Triple said there's a couple of. I think there's a couple of groups involved. Who's the other one? Yeah, 777.
Off the top of my
MSP
head,
Sports Capital.
okay, off the top of my head, I can't remember which clubs were 777 have shares or investment in other clubs as well. May even be owners. I'm not
I'm
sure, but I'm trying to remember which clubs. but they've got prior investment in football clubs.
Yeah, MSP are the ones that I know have got investments. They're the ones that got Augsburg, Alcaçon in Spain, Estoril, and Beveren in Belgium, who used to be Arsenal's feeder club. Triple A ago, it says here, looking on the BBC one, they've got Sevilla and Hertha Berlin. Oh, and
Oh yeah,
they own
Hertha Berlin.
Genoa and
Hertha
Standard
Berlin is the
Liège.
one.
They own Genoa and Standard Liège as well.
Genoa are in Serie B right now. Hertha Berlin are gonna be in Bundesliga too. If I was Everton supporter, I would be worried.
And neither
They've
of them,
not
I
got
think,
great track record.
neither of them fill you with confidence in terms of who you'd want to. I mean, like, you know, it's only if it's only investment and they're not. But then, let's be honest, when you look at what's going on at Everton, can it be any worse?
Yeah, but you say that, but relegation from Premier League is bad, but you have to spend the season in Championship and there is no guarantee you're
Aye,
not gonna get relegated.
they could
Which,
be in serious trouble if they go down with that squad because it's not good enough in the Championship, is it?
and they don't have too many sellable assets, sadly.
I don't see
The,
anybody
the one
selling.
guy who could the one guy who could bring in big bucks can hardly get on the field.
Well, the players they had that they could. I mean, I don't think DCL is bringing
Pickford,
big.
they can get decent money for Pickford, I would assume.
Yeah, which
Onana,
shockingly, the Pickford they could get money for, even though I've no idea why he's so highly rated because he's an awful keeper, but he's England's first choice, so he'll bring in a decent fee. Onana possibly get a decent fee for, but they pretty much sold the only players they could get money for, Richarlison and Gordon, really.
Gordon.
They sold, they're already been selling off their family silver because of the mess Mashiri's left them in.
And maybe DCL gets a move back to Premier League if they get relegated. So at most they're gonna get 100 million, I think.
That's a point. Stoney's saying they also facing a points deduction as well. Yeah.
That's not been decided. Who knows what's
No,
gonna
but
happen. Maybe they get transfer embargo. Maybe they get
yeah,
points deducted. Maybe they get everything.
that this yeah, you just
Yeah,
think
they've got. It's such a
anything
very,
could happen with Everton. They're such a mess. I mean, it's a shame to see them so bad, but it does give us the opportunity to laugh at Billy.
no, but I'm sad because who's gonna buy car stuff from us? Who's gonna buy players not good enough for Man United?
Well, then again, these days your player's not good enough at championship level, so might actually mean they want more.
Yeah, but they don't have money. If Everton don't have money, then
Good
they can't
point.
buy it.
Good point.
No, but honestly, I say it jokingly. It's not because we're not gonna have someone buy players off of us, but I wouldn't want Everton to get relegated. They've been in ever-present Premier League, and it will just be a bit weird. Going to Goodison is always a tough fixture for
Whereas
us,
Pearce,
and I guess most of the other teams as well.
I keep flip-flopping between whether I'd be happy to see them down or not. On the one hand, I wouldn't want to see them down because they're from the same, just because they're our rival doesn't mean I dislike them. A lot of my family have worked for them, as I've said many times. Worked for them, and yeah, there's a lot of people that lose their jobs, etc., and I'd be gutted for them. But on the other hand, every time we play them, they injure players deliberately every time. You just watch it, and it's not just the Van Dijk incident. This happens in every time we watch Liverpool play them, they set out to just try and kick Liverpool off the pitch. It's the way they play against us. So it'd be kind of nice to get rid of them in that respect, because it won't because then it won't, there'll be less chance of players getting injured playing against somebody else. So yeah, so I'm torn on it. Then most of the time, I don't want them to go down, but there's times when I just think it might be better for Liverpool if they did. Yeah, so I mean, we normally get 3 points there is the issue though, so you don't want them to go down because it's almost a guaranteed 3 points, 6 points every season, almost. Not always, but like most of the time. So
Yeah, and also if they go down, then Billy will have less things to talk about it on the podcast.
yeah, exactly. It'd be weird. What would be, you just think how Billy would feel and that, and like, I mean, aunties and cousins and that, you know what I mean? It'd be like, they'd be broken hearted. Yeah, it's a tough one because in so many respects, it'd be like, yes, because you can have a good laugh winding up your mates, like, but it only lasts 10 minutes and then you'd be like thinking, I feel bad now, you know.
Not every time Liverpool drop points, you will be thinking, if only Everton were there to give us 3 points.
Yeah, or Everton were there to laugh at instead and nobody noticed that Liverpool had a bad result because everyone's too busy laughing at Everton, Things like that, yeah? Yeah, there's so many reasons to keep Everton in the Prem.
Anyways, Chris, I think I
Yeah,
should
I think
watch
that's it.
us now.
Okay, so we'll see you next Thursday, everyone listening. Thank you for listening, all of you, and thanks for your feedback on the chat as well. It's always useful,
See you next
even if I
Thursday,
struggle to keep
everyone.
up with it. Yeah. See you next Thursday. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
I'm gonna actually switch it off. Taking it on.